If a black widow walked into a Venus flytrap, what would happen? Would the trap close on top of the spider and eat it whole? Or would the black widow be able to use its venom to squeeze its way out? Well, I'm gonna be testing just that, along with tons of other insect types to see how strong Venus flytraps really are. Now, to get a Venus flytrap, I got the traps delivered in the mail. After taking them out, I separated them into cheap and expensive. You can see the cheap Venus flytraps actually gave me quite a lot for just $10. And the traps themselves did look pretty healthy, big, and had that signature green and red color. Nice. However, over on the expensive side, you can see these are a bit different. They're not even packaged at all, and they look way more natural with moss all around the dirt. However, the main difference in these ones is that they're basically fully red. Like, they literally look like an apple. I've never seen Venus flytraps like that. But other than that, these traps mostly look the same, and hopefully at least one of them will be able to successfully trap a black widow. But before we test the black widow, we also got some other insects to test, starting with a fly. And thankfully, I'm a weird bug guy, so I just got a container of a bunch of flies, which might actually mostly be dead, but I think some are alive in there. First of all, let's get the plants in their testing chambers, and we'll be testing the strength of the cheap $10 traps first. Without wasting any time, I just put in a single fly and put 30 minutes on the clock. And if it gets caught before the timer's up, I'll add in some more flies. But instantly, as you can see, the fly started to climb along the glass to try and escape. Thankfully though, I've sealed this enclosure shut, and once the fly realized that, he ended up going back down to the floor. Now this is where things get interesting, because the fly landed on one of the pots with all of the Venus flytrap plants. What makes Venus flytraps so effective is actually their nectar. Just like normal flowers, these traps also produce nectar around this little green lip part of the plant. And basically what it's designed to do is lure hungry insects in, and while they're eating the plant, of course, it shuts. But I guess because these plants are so cheap, they didn't have very much of that nectar, because after standing around for like a minute, the fly just flew away without even stepping in any of the jaws. And from there on out, the fly basically drained the 30-minute timer down all the way to 3 minutes by just standing on the glass. However, eventually he decided to explore near the cheap Venus flytraps once again. And this time he got a little bit too close, because he stepped onto one of the traps and it could literally close on him right now. But the trap took a second too long, and the fly was able to fly out once it sensed the movement. You see, Venus flytraps have a very interesting system for how they detect prey and activate their jaws, which I'll go more in depth with when the trap actually traps an insect. For now, the fly just sort of walked around on the dirt for the rest of the timer, and well, the cheap trap was a fail. Thankfully, over on the right, we got the expensive one though, worth 10 times more, and this should have a much better result. So I put in a new fly, and let's get the timer started to see how quickly this guy gets caught. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this fly was a bit crazier than that first one, because for the first 3 minutes, he literally just flew around the entire enclosure like he was insane, just hitting all the glass trying to escape. But after he tired himself out, it was time for the Venus flytraps to do their thing. Instantly, you can tell the fly was way more drawn to the traps, as these expensive ones have a much stronger, more smelly nectar. And that was proven because right after, the fly walked in one of the traps. But quickly, it walked out right as the trap closed. Yeah, you can see in this instant replay, the trap may have missed the fly, but comparing the cheap and expensive traps, the expensive one closes way faster. And only a minute later, the fly was still chilling near the traps. And this time, the nectar caught him off guard, because he walked onto the trap and put his face straight up to the lip of the plant where it was. And well, yeah, the video is paused right now, but you could probably tell what's about to happen. Just like that, the trap got a perfect close on the fly. You see, every single Venus flytrap has these super tiny trigger hairs inside of the jaws. And when a bug or something touches more than 2 of them, the trap starts to close. And these expensive ones are able to close so quickly that they catch most of prey that steps inside. You can see slight bits of movement inside over the next 20 minutes, but over the next few days, the trap is going to release a type of acid on the fly to digest it down and grow even stronger. Well, it only took 5 minutes for that to trap the fly, and the cheap one didn't catch any. So the expensive one definitely takes home the win, and I think I'm gonna have to rate him a 3 out of 10 for how entertaining it was to watch. And I just say that because the next 2 insects should be way more interesting, especially the black widow. I have no idea what's gonna happen with that. Anyways, second up though, we got crickets to test. Thankfully, crickets can't fly or climb glass, so they should be way easier to catch. And after letting one loose in the cheap enclosure, I put 30 minutes on the clock. Let's see what happens. Now, for the first little while, the cricket spent most of its time just walking on the dirt along the side of the glass to, of course, try and find an escape. Because let's be real, every cricket that sees me on this channel knows it's about to get eaten. He did not want to be in here. But after 5 minutes, he made his first approach to the traps. And one thing I should probably say is that the crickets are way more attracted to nectar, as it's a primary part in their diet. And that was shown because soon after, the cricket started to climb on the outside of the jaws of this trap. And right after that, I actually realized the cricket had stepped inside one of the traps, and it sort of looked like it was drinking nectar. But hello, Venus flytrap, there's a cricket standing inside of you right now. are you gonna close? Yeah, the cricket really just stood there for 30 seconds, and when it was finished drinking the nectar, it started to walk out, and then finally the trap closed. Good job, bro. You were only a minute late at closing. I guess the cricket must have just not hit a trigger hair inside until the very end, which is why that happened. Anyways, nothing really new happened up until 15 minutes left on the clock, when I decided I wanted to add in 3 more crickets to make this more interesting. And while these guys all ran around the enclosure, I closely watched them to see if any would step inside any of the traps. And at 5 minutes left, this happened. You see, this cricket started to walk up the stem of this trap. Then he walked inside, realized it was a dead end, and tried to turn around. But it was too late because the trap closed on him, leaving him half stuck inside. So I literally just got some time-lapse footage of this guy to see if he'd be able to escape. And actually, while I was recording that, another cricket below also stepped into one of the traps. And he also got half of his body stuck inside. Thankfully, this cricket was able to use some of the stuff around him to pry himself out of the trap. However, I don't know if this guy will be able to do the same since he's in the air and has nothing to grab onto. So I guess I'll just leave you here. Sorry, boy. Good luck. But anyways, that concludes the timer, and I would call this a half success for the cheap plants this time. But oh boy, am I excited to do this with the expensive traps. I didn't want to waste any time, so I put in 1 cricket. And this time, the cricket instantly walked towards the traps, like within a couple seconds. And he started to just play with his life, because he would just be walking through the plants like this, narrowly escaping the insane speed of these expensive Venus flytraps. Now, only a few minutes later, the cricket once again walked into a Venus flytrap. This time, he managed to dodge all the trigger hairs, and he put his mouth up to the lip of the plant to drink some nectar. But yeah, the second he started moving again, he wasn't so lucky because the trap got an absolutely perfect close on him. And well, it only took 7 minutes for the expensive traps to fully capture a cricket. So once again, I'm gonna have to give the win to expensive. And I think I'm gonna rate that a 6 out of 10 for entertainment because way more traps closed, which was fun to watch. But you already know what time it is. It is a Black Widow o'clock. Yeah, it's time to test the Black Widows now. Now, I've never actually just seen a Black Widow walking around where I live. I don't know why. I guess they just don't have them here in my state. So the only way to get one was to get out the laptop and find a website selling them. I ended up finding a good listing on this website, so I bought some, and the next day they got delivered to my house. As you can see, I bought a pretty good amount of these guys, and as you can probably also see, they're super creepy. They got that signature glossy black color, a massive abdomen, and of course, they got the red hourglasses on the back of that abdomen to let you know they're extremely venomous. In fact, something I just learned about these guys is their venom is actually 15 times more potent than rattlesnake venom. That's why when I opened the container to get a closer look, I got extremely scared when they started running away straight towards me. Bro, that Black Widow just ran out of here. He webbed down the side of the table and just started running around the floor. But don't worry, I actually scooped him up into this box I had laying around. I'm pretty scared of Black Widows. Anyways, I went and put one of the Black Widows inside the cheap trap enclosure and got 30 minutes on the clock. This is about to get interesting. Let's see what happens. Right away, the Black Widow made her way towards the traps. Now, Black Widows are a lot slower than crickets and flies, so if this spider steps inside a trap, there's a high likelihood of it getting caught. And while nothing really happened for the first couple of minutes, eventually the spider started to walk along the tops of some of the traps. You can see Black Widows are very meticulous with their movement, and it would very carefully place its legs above the trap, making sure not to step inside. But even with that, the spider was playing a dangerous game because all it needed was one bad step. Anyways, about 15 minutes later, I noticed that the spider had actually started to spin a little bit of silk, and maybe it was planning on building its web here. But unfortunately, she would never get the chance to finish because she took a wrong turn into the Venus flytrap, and well, it closed straight on her. Almost perfectly. However, there was still some legs sticking out. To be honest, it didn't look good for the Black Widow, and besides a few leg twitches, it looked like the spider had just lost to the Venus flytrap. And if you thought that was cool, well, you gotta see the expensive Venus flytraps because right after putting the Black Widow in, he instantly walked up to a Venus flytrap. And literally within the first 30 seconds of the timer, he stepped inside one of the traps, ducked down a little bit too much, and the trap closed on him within an instant. In my opinion, this one was even cooler to watch, and yeah, his legs were also just stuck sticking out of the sides of the trap. And well, hopefully that answers the question. Venus flytraps do beat Black Widows.
This is an Asian forest scorpion. But right now, he's living in a pet store with a small cage, no water, and he literally just has dirt. So I'm gonna spend $500 to give this scorpion the dream life he deserves. I want to give him unlimited food, an actual diverse ecosystem, and I even want to simulate weather events that the scorpion can experience in the wild. So to get started, I ordered not just 1 or 2, but literally 7 packages to build the scorpion's dream home. And of course, the build is gonna have to start with our 30-gallon glass terrarium. The only problem is that it didn't come like this. I actually had to build it from scratch because apparently the people who made it were too lazy to do that themselves. Anyways, I have tons of materials to build all sorts of stuff for this enclosure. But firstly, I'm gonna create the rainforest backdrop. These scorpions live in the jungle and the wild, so I'm gonna build the jungle in his enclosure. To start this off, I need to load some silicone into my gun and cover the whole back of the glass with it like this. Then I got a ton of spider wood and put it along the back to represent tree branches. Now you might be wondering how I'm gonna make this wood stick to the back. Well, let me introduce you to spray foam. Basically, we're just going to... and boom. You might be thinking this looks ugly, and well, that's because it is. But to fix that, I'm gonna cut off some of the foam with a knife and put in some more silicone. And you might still be thinking this looks ugly. Well, to fix that, I'm gonna sprinkle some coconut fiber on it. And there we go. This is starting to look, okay. But the whole backdrop will really come to life once I fill these tiny pots that I also put here up with beautiful plants. But before doing that, we need to first design the floor portion of the terrarium. To start, we're filling up the bottom with a bunch of balls. Clay balls, to be exact. This is gonna be our drainage layer to make sure there won't be any mold outbreaks in the scorpion's dream home. Because you know, that would probably be bad. Anyways, I cut out some window screen and put that above the balls so I can fill it up with some substrate. We're gonna need at least 6 inches of substrate in order for the scorpion to be able to dig little burrows for himself. Which, if you remember, the pet store scorpion had barely an inch of dirt. He is probably so sad. So, let's finish his dream home. Asian forest scorpions love coconut fiber, so I'm mostly using that. But I'm also gonna mix in some wood chips and sphagnum moss with it to make it look more natural. Wow. But the floor wouldn't be completed without some decorations. So first, I put in some cork bark and moss, which scorpions love to hide under. I also added a little shallow water tray so the scorpion could get a nice drink of water without drowning. Finally, I sprinkled some rocks around for good measure. This is starting to look really good. Psych! It's about to look 10 times better because now I'm adding in the plants. Remember, these scorpions are from the Asian rainforest. So to replicate that, I'm gonna find the most colorful plants I can. Off to the flower shop I go. I'll be there soon. And of course, I went to the best place to get plants, Walmart.
Place your item in.
Now, surprisingly, they actually did have a few pretty nice colorful plants. So I picked out some that I liked. And I got some deodorant too. Not for the scorpion or anything, you know, I just needed some. Anyways, this is what I got. And I started by adding some of the smaller plants onto the backdrop. And then I planted the rest into the floor area. The chunk of the rainforest was now complete, but while it's pretty, it's definitely not a dream home. In order to make it a dream home, we need to spoil the poor scorpion by creating custom technology in his enclosure, like a literal insect dispenser that will deliver live insects straight into his mouth, plus even more, but we'll start with the insect dispenser. Now, to be honest, I basically have zero skills at building stuff, so I'm definitely not making some fully automatic crazy wired machine. Yeah, sorry. But what I will be doing is making a fun little slide for insects to slide down straight into their doom. To do this, I got a small acrylic tube and used some silicone to stick it at an angle to the wall. This will let me drop little feeding insects in, then watch them ride the slide of death. But to make sure there's a 0% chance the insects escape, I'm spraying some slippery Fluon stuff along the inside of it so they can't even grip on if they wanted to. I also have some other technology to put into the dream home, like this Repti fogger. To use it, I basically just attach it to the side of the terrarium like this, and then I fill up the reservoir with water. Now when I turn it on, it does this. Wow, very cool. I mean, that's not needed or anything, but it makes the tank look really cool and rainforesty. For the final step of the dream home, I bought tiny little bugs called isopods that I'm letting loose into the enclosure.
Come on, get out. Get out.
Isopods are basically the holy grail of bioactive terrariums because they do everything from cleaning up waste to stopping mold outbreaks. I mean, the scorpion will probably eat them, but it's worth putting them in because of all of their benefits. Well, I'd say this is pretty good for the dream home. Now it's time to surprise that Asian forest scorpion. So I went to the same pet store and sure enough, it was still there, just laying there very depressingly. I'm gonna save you. And of course, saving the scorpion meant forking up $21 so I could buy it.
Let's go, baby.
Remember, I built all of this stuff for the scorpion, so I want to see how he reacts once I let him in. But before adding in the scorpion, I figured I should probably give it a name so I could stop referring to it as just the scorpion. And since scorpions are so menacing and scary with their venomous stingers and sharp claws, it's gonna need a menacing name to match. So everyone, please say hello to Sir Fluffsalot. Isn't he so cute? Anyways, I was having trouble putting Sir Fluffsalot into his new home, so I had to resort to putting on gloves because I was too scared of getting stung.
Get off. No. Don't climb that. Do not climb out. Let go. Let go.
Eventually, I was able to push him out into his dream home, and he absolutely loved it. Okay, to be fair, I don't know if he actually loved it, but he probably did, because he was, like, walking around and stuff. Anyways, now I want to utilize the insect dispenser and completely spoil Sir Fluffsalot with 3 types of prey, starting with the easiest to catch, a mealworm. Mealworms will probably be pretty easy to catch, because they, like, barely even move.
Bruh.
So I dropped some down the slide of doom, and immediately the scorpion noticed. He slowly approached the stupid worms and... what? Okay, apparently he's just stepping on them and isn't even eating them.
Bruh.
Let's try the second insect, a dubia roach, and maybe he'll eat that. Roaches move around a lot more than mealworms, so this may activate Sir Fluffsalot predator instincts more. The dubia roaches scurried in towards the center of the ecosystem, right where the scorpion was resting. And apparently this roach here is extremely stupid, because he literally walked over to the scorpion and started to climb on it. Sir Fluffsalot tried to warn the roach by giving it a little kick, but the roach didn't really understand that it was standing right next to its death right now, and literally tried to climb into the scorpion's mouth. But despite all of this, Sir Fluffsalot simply did not attack or eat the dubia roach. So I did some research to try and figure out why, and oh, I'm stupid. You see, scorpions are nocturnal, so most of the day they actually spend sleeping, and typically prefer to only hunt at night. And honestly, I don't understand why scorpions get to sleep the whole day, because when I sleep the whole day, I get called lazy and unproductive. But that's besides the point. It seems like Sir Fluffsalot was just trying to get some sleep, so instead, I waited until night, and then dropped the final and juiciest prey in, crickets. Now Fluffy was ready to hunt. You may not see him now, but that's because he's sitting in his evil lair right behind a branch. I'm pretty sure he's waiting for innocent prey to stumble into a little hole he dug out right here, and then he'll kill them. Or maybe he's just still sleeping. But after a little while, a clueless cricket walked straight into it and couldn't get out. The cricket thought he was safe, but little did he know that the apex predator Sir Fluffsalot was watching his every move. When the time was right, Sir Fluffsalot leaped in and killed the cricket. Ooh, that's brutal. Fluffy now had a tasty meal for tonight to take back to his lair. The next morning, I wanted to test the fog machine with the Asian forest scorpions, so I turned that on and fog started to roll in. Honestly, I was expecting Sir Fluffsalot to react to the fog or something, but he kinda just sat there. Oh well, this machine will still be useful to make sure I can control the humidity levels and make sure the ecosystem has all the correct conditions. Sir Fluffsalot went from a tiny depressing little box to a big beautiful rainforest that mimics his natural environment. He seems to be enjoying himself, and he's gonna make a good addition to my pet collection. By the way, this is only my 4th ever video on YouTube, so if you...
How much weight can a spider web actually hold? Obviously they hold flies, but what about a pen? A water bottle? A dumbbell?
Well, I went out and bought the spider that makes the strongest webs in the world to be able to go and test it.
And without wasting any time, I let the spider loose into this massive enclosure with tons of anchor points all over the wall to ensure an enormous web could be built in here. You see, these are called golden silk orb weavers, and their silk is so strong that it's said that the military literally studied it to learn how to make bulletproof vests. Yeah, these guys are the real deal. So while we wait for this massive web to be constructed, I also want to test questions like what is the coolest spider species, can spiders walk on water, and tons of other fun spider questions, starting with what is a trapdoor spider?
Basically, the answer is they're one of the most insane animals you'll ever see.
And I instantly dropped it into a little enclosure I built for it. You see, they're called trapdoor spiders because they build trapdoors. Basically, over the course of a few hours, they dig out a hole in the ground. Then they coat the inside of that hole with a special kind of silk they produce that allows it to essentially turn into a functional trapdoor that they can surprise prey with. And while I wasn't able to catch mine building the trapdoor, the next morning I came back to find this area looking pretty different. And based off of this suspicious moss and silk tripwires, I'm pretty sure the spider set up his trapdoor right here.
So I suspect if I put a cricket in, the spider will jump out of the trapdoor to eat it.
Immediately, the cricket got to walking around, and this enclosure isn't super big, so it wasn't long until the cricket was right next to the trapdoor. Now, you see these silk lines. Like I said earlier, they are tripwires that are directly connected down to where the spider is located. So if something were to touch one of these tripwires, the spider would instantaneously know exactly where to strike. And well, guys, it is insane to see this because like 20 seconds later, the cricket walked over the trapdoor onto the tripwire, and the cricket is now it's just gone. Check out that instant replay. Oh my gosh. The fact that the spider is just born with the ability to know to do this is so insane. And if you thought that was cool, while we wait for our golden silk orb weaver to make the strongest web in the world, I still have way more fun spider questions, with the next one being, can spiders walk on water?
Yeah, you might be thinking, heck no, Green. Are you stupid? If a spider walked on water, it would just fall in and drown. But I think I actually found a spider species that actually can walk on water. And I've heard that they can also do tons of other crazy stuff.
So I built it up the perfect environment with both a water and a land area to get this experiment started. Now, I very carefully let the spider loose because obviously, as you can tell, it's extremely large and creepy. And while I have a whole channel about keeping the weirdest pets, I'm still kind of scared of spiders. But eventually, the spider ended up crawling out of the container.
All right, now that he's out of that container and on the land section, hopefully he now goes and walks in the water. Let me see if maybe I can move him over there. I don't want to. Oh. He's doing it.
Yep, and just like that, the spider started to defy the laws of physics, kinda. I know it looks like the spider is just sort of floating on top of the water, but it actually has completely perfect control to be able to walk around on top, just like it was solid ground. Yeah, it's actually insane, but these spiders are able to do this because of their legs, which are covered with these super tiny water-repellent hairs that make them buoyant on top of the water.
But these guys didn't just evolve to walk on the water for nothing. They did it so they could hunt where no other spider could.
While most normal spiders just sit on a web all day waiting for the prey to come to them, these guys are active hunters and instead are able to pick up these slightest vibrations in the water to know exactly where the stuff is to attack it.
So I want to see if this fishing spider will try and dive under the water for some crickets. This should be very interesting. I've heard crickets are these guys' super favorite food, if that makes sense. Yeah, they really like them though.
Yeah, now I was gonna try and take my time with this, but you see I accidentally dropped the cricket in, and right away the fishing spider went insane and pounced on it without wasting a single second, and the cricket was now just straight up in the fangs of this insane predator. But I didn't really get a good view of it attacking the cricket, so what I actually did was took the cricket from the spider so I could see if I could get the shot one more time. And this time the spider once again pounced onto the cricket as soon as it saw it. And obviously it's pretty creepy and you can see those legs moving. It's very scary actually. But you could see from under the water the cricket had no chance of escape, and it was now getting eaten as the spider walked up onto the land to finish eating it there.
All right. I'm super excited about the next question because it is, what is the most camouflage spider species? And well, guys, I think I found it. I got it. It's right in here.
But before I could take it out of this container, I quickly built up its enclosure. And yep, literally all we need is just some sand, and that is it. These are one of the most resilient and simple spiders in the entire world. And let's open this. Now you may notice that I was being extremely ultra careful with opening this. And that's because this species is one of the most venomous creatures on the planet. Like, period. And if it bit me, there'd be a high likelihood I wouldn't make it. But thankfully, that didn't happen because the spider started to climb out of the paper towel and then onto the sand. Now, these are called six-eyed sand spiders. And you may be wondering, bruh, Green, how the heck is this thing camouflaged at all? Well, you see, these guys are able to camouflage by doing this. Once they find a good spot where the sand is nice and loose, they start to kick sand on top of themselves and bury themselves under it to hide here for basically 99% of its life. Now, it may not technically be camouflage, but this ability does an amazing job at hiding it. And I mean, even its legs just look like tiny little sticks poking out the sand. This does not look like a spider. And like other predators that use their camouflage abilities to hunt, these spiders are no different. And as soon as they detect motion, they will jump out of the floor.
So let's feed this thing a cricket. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, you would have no idea that is literally one of the most venomous things in the world.
Anyways, I went and dropped the cricket inside, and immediately he got to running around the enclosure. But little did he know, right under his feet was his doom. Well, kinda, because I thought right away the spider was gonna pop out, but the cricket actually was just straight up walking on top of the spider, and the spider just didn't care. But I think it's because this cricket was a little bit big for the spider, so a little bit later, I came back with a smaller cricket, as you can see. And well, as you can also see, this time the spider did not waste a single second to pounce onto this cricket. Nah, look at this instant replay. Imagine if that was my finger. And, well, I guess this spider is gonna enjoy his very tasty meal now. Nice. All right, now it's time for question number 4, which is what spider is the most like Spider-Man?
Yeah, might sound funny, but the answer is definitely the thing in this container. Because you know how Spider-Man can shoot long-ranged webs out of his wrists? Well, this spider species can also shoot long-ranged webs, and it's pretty crazy.
These are called long-legged spitting spiders. And as you can see, they look pretty weird because they have a massive head. You see, most spiders have their silk glands, which are the things that make silk, in their abdomen. And that's why that area is so big. But these guys got their silk glands in their head because they need to be able to shoot webs out of their mouth. But in order for them to be able to do that, they gotta go and set up a little area in their tank. So I put my spider in a tank and he started to walk around, climbed up some sticks and stuff. And when I came back a little bit later, there was a little web made at the top of the enclosure. This means he was now settled in and he is ready to attack some prey.
All right, now that the spider went and made a web somewhere at the top of the enclosure, I'm gonna put in some crickets like always. And I know it's kind of a lot, but hopefully one of these guys gets shot by some webs. Let's go.
So I put them in, and while most of the crickets were kind of just walking around the grassy floor area, this one cricket started to climb up this stick that led directly to where the spitting spider was. The cricket then crawled right next to the spider, waking him up, which probably angered the spider, causing the spider to shoot his web directly onto the cricket, completely gluing him to the wall, making sure the cricket would never be able to move again. You see, not only does this web shot completely immobilize the prey, just like Spider-Man can do, but also because the web shots come from the head, it's infused with the spider's venom, meaning the web that's covering this cricket's body is seeping venom into it, which makes it even easier for the spider to consume it. And as you can see, that's exactly what the spider did. Very nice. Now the next question is, what is the cutest spider in the world?
And yes, there is a good reason I'm testing this. You'll see what I mean. But anyways, I got the cutest spider right in here.
They're called jumping spiders, and I mean, just look at them. While every other spider is evil and just straight up nasty looking, these guys are super fluffy, and they got all these little cute eyes, arms, and everything about them is just lovely. Oh my gosh, they're so cute.
In fact, these spiders are so cute, they literally made an entire animated show about them called Lucas the Spider. And dang, this is pretty entertaining, but also it's not very accurate because if this is real, the spider would definitely be eating the fly.
Because even though these guys are so cute, they're called jumping spiders because of their insane ability to jump towards prey and eat them whole. Yeah, they probably aren't so cute to the prey. So you already know, I got a little home built for this guy. I went and put him inside, and I got out a cricket to feed him.
Yeah, but this cricket is pretty big for the jumping spider. So if it's able to eat this thing, that'll just show how insane they are despite being super duper cute.
Now what I did was immediately showed the jumping spider the cricket to let him know it was feeding time. And while I was showing it to him, you could see he was actually being pretty nice and wasn't just straight up attacking it. Actually was kind of backing off. So I decided to let the cricket loose, and a little later I noticed the cricket was standing literally right next to the spider. And yeah, the jumping spider just wasn't eating it for some reason. Dang, maybe that little animation I was watching was accurate, and maybe jumping spiders are actually very friendly. Or maybe mine was just not hungry right now. Actually, that probably is what it is.
But I think I'm just gonna leave that cricket in there, so when the jumping spider gets hungry, it will do that, basically. Yeah, as you can tell in this footage, it's pretty cool to watch them eat. But anyways, the real reason why I wanted to get the cutest spider in the world is because many of you know that my mom is absolutely petrified of spiders.
Oh my god!
Yeah, one time I showed her a tarantula and she was just not happy.
Matt?
So hopefully this will help change your mind. Mom, can you come in here? Yo, hello there.
Hi, bud.
So I just brought you in because I know you hate spiders, right? You do hate spiders?
Yes.
So basically I just wanted to show you that I got the most venomous spider in the world.
What?
Yeah, right? No, I'm just kidding. It's the cutest spider in the world because I want to cure your fear of spiders.
Oh my gosh.
And as you can see, he's super friendly because he just, he can crawl on my arm.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can see its face and I can see like red furry. No.
You want to get a closer look?
No.
And they're actually called jumping spiders because they're able to jump. So hopefully he doesn't jump on you.
No.
But I'm just going to go and put him back inside of his home. There you go. Okay, so did that cure your fear of spiders?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh. Dang it.
Well, I guess it was worth a shot. One day I will cure her fear of spiders. But anyways, now it's time to test the final question. How much weight can a spider web hold?
So if you remember, I went and put that spider inside of this massive enclosure. And for me, that was about a week ago. And since putting the spider inside of here, all he's pretty much done is spun some web at the back left corner and the back right corner. And yeah, he hasn't made a massive web in the middle.
You see, spiders that make massive webs like this can take weeks in captivity to feel comfortable enough to do it, just because the environment is totally different from the wild. Now, I usually would just keep waiting, but I had a flight to catch in 2 days to record another banger video for you guys. So instead, to be able to answer this question, the next morning I had to drive out to a trail bright and early in the morning to be able to find some spider webs in the wild myself.
And guys, I brought the backpack so we can test a bunch of items in the spider webs to see what is the heaviest item they can hold.
Now, after I found this first pretty tiny spider web, I got out the backpack to take out the lightest item to test the weight of: crickets. Which obviously you can see this web is able to hold just fine. Webs like this are literally designed to be able to hold insects. You see, even just this is impressive, because if these spiders were scaled up to how big humans were, it'd basically be the equivalent to a human being able to make a web that could hold 125 pounds, based on some complex math, which I'm not going to go into.
All right, but we knew that was going to be able to hold a cricket. Our next item we got to test though is a $20 bill, which actually weighs double the amount as what a cricket weighs. And also it's a lot bigger, so let's see if a bigger web can hold this.
Like I said, this web is a bit bigger, and it should be able to hold this even though the weight is double the amount. And after kind of finding the right place to balance it, boom, just like that, the $20 looks like it's just floating there, but it's actually being held by the web. And when ranked on our human scalability, that money is the equivalent to a human making a web that could hold 250 pounds. We're getting heavier. But the next item is this empty pen casing, which is 5 times more heavy than that money. Now, if you're wondering how the web handled against this, well, you'd probably be surprised that it actually held without too much of a problem at all. Meaning this is basically the equivalent to a human web holding over 1,000 pounds. Now, we are getting heavy.
And now the last item I've got is a water bottle, which is obviously a lot heavier and also a lot bigger than all the other stuff I've tested. And I know it's not a dumbbell like I said at the start, but hey, I'm not trying to just destroy this web for no reason at all, because yeah, that would definitely destroy it. But yeah, let's test if this can hold the water bottle.
Now, with the pen and money already weighing this web down, it wasn't looking too promising, but I still tried my best to perfectly align the water bottle in the web so it would hold. And when I let go of the water bottle, it fell apart. But remember, it was basically able to hold the human equivalent to 1,000 pounds, basically, on my super accurate human scalability. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. And the point of this video was to show you guys that while spiders can be super creepy and also super deadly, they're actually some of the most interesting and amazing animals that we gotta show our respect to. And hopefully in this video, I kind of showed you that. I'll be testing everything interesting about termites, even putting them against a mini wood house to see if they'll eat straight through it. Yeah, should be fun. Now, before we get to the house, I first want to show you guys how termites build their nests, because termites seriously build some of the craziest homes in the animal kingdom. And they build them quickly. Let me show you by dumping these guys in. Now, instantly after dumping in the termites, you can see just how many there actually was here, just absolutely swarming in this single area. But you could quickly see how multiple started to gather up in this back area near the exposed dirt. You see, I've set up this container to have a thin layer of soil pressed up against this glass floor. And this gap here lets termites squeeze underneath to start digging, meaning we're gonna get to see them dig their intricate tunnels from above. It's a slow process that only works because of the sheer amount of termites, because while a single termite is super small, there are over 1,000 termites right here, meaning work gets done pretty quickly. And over the next 3 hours, the bulk of the termites migrated across the entire floor in this super cool pattern. Dang, that is insane to watch on a time lapse. Oh my gosh, these termites completely dug this entire area out so much faster than how long it usually takes for my ants to do it. And thankfully, this video is just getting started, because the next fun thing I have planned for the termites is to put a predator with them. And by a predator, I mean I've got this tiny little earthworm that, to be honest, who knows? When it digs under with the termites, what's gonna happen? I mean, they could swarm it, they could just completely evacuate the place, I don't know. So the only way to find out was to put this little worm inside. Now, almost instantly, it squeezed under the glass floor and started to dig in the dirt as it got closer to the termites. Now, I'm pretty sure termites only eat stuff like wood, so honestly, I didn't even think much would happen, but as the worm got nearer, some of the termites started to approach the worm with the little tunnels they had dug out and didn't initially attack it. In fact, they sort of just ignored that it was even there, just walking from one side of it to the other, acting like it was just some sort of bridge. But then all of a sudden, I noticed tons more of the termites starting to gather around the backside of the worm, almost like they were gonna start attacking in it. Even some of these bigger termites marched in called soldiers that specifically have these massive mandibles meant to defend the termite nest. But as I kept watching, surprisingly the swarm didn't attack and, well, they kind of just let the worm dig around their nest.
Dang, this is so interesting. How the termites are just fine living with a literal worm in their nest. Yeah, they're just not attacking it at all.
Even more interestingly, as I left my time-lapse camera recording, the worm really just learned to coexist with the 1,000 termites. Yeah, I mean, this honestly makes sense. This species of termites literally only eats wood, so there's no reason for them to waste their energy attacking a harmless worm.
Dang, that's cool. Well, I'm guessing you guys are hungry, so for our next test, we're gonna feed these guys some wood. Hopefully, they like it.
But yeah, I don't only have this nice natural piece of bark from a tree, I also have this piece of cardboard. So that way I can test both of these materials to see which is the best food source to feed these guys in the future. And after sliding both of the food sources under the sheet of acrylic, the termites had access to them. And honestly, it didn't take long till some of the termites started to investigate it. Since putting the termites in this nest, they've had like a day with no wood, so I knew for sure they would be hungry. Now, interestingly, there was almost like no termites going up to the actual piece of wood, but there was quite a few checking out the piece of cardboard, even walking inside the tiny holes on the side of it. You see, termites like this species actually have more than 100,000 microscopic little alive creatures inside their bodies. They're called flagellates, and basically they live inside termite bodies, and as the termite chews wood, these flagellates help to digest the wood and break it up into actual nutrients somehow. But yeah, it's just insane knowing each termite body is basically just a massive house to so many of these unseeable creatures. Now, even though some of the termites were walking inside the cardboard, it didn't actually seem like they were eating either of these food sources yet. Well, that was until this, because I kept my time-lapse camera recording, totally just expecting the termites not to move towards the wood. You can see most of the termites were actually staying near the bottom, away from the wood. But as I kept recording for another half an hour, eventually a couple of termites started to walk on top of the piece of bark. And they looked pretty excited, because soon after, a few more termites started to walk onto it. I guess they didn't realize this was food earlier, but since they had now found out, these initial termites that had walked on here started to release a type of special pheromone in the air that signals there was food here. Because the whole colony could sense the pheromones, it literally only took about 5 more minutes until this piece of wood started to get absolutely swarmed. Yeah, it happened so fast, and soon enough, the entire piece of bark was covered from top to bottom in termites. But interestingly, it seemed like this piece of cardboard wasn't getting nearly as much attention from the termites anymore.
Yo, check out this wood. It's getting absolutely swarmed right now. And it may look like the cardboard's not getting eaten, but if you actually look very closely in there, oh yeah, this thing's getting eaten up too.
Yup, that's right, because when I pointed my camera directly to the side of this cardboard, you could tell it was overflowing with termites. It looked like they were just crawling all up inside of it, and when I got some tweezers to peel back the piece of cardboard, well, you could see just how many there actually was inside, which kind of all immediately evacuated once they realized I was peeling this apart, so sorry guys.
Oh my gosh, it's only been an hour and these termites are decimating the wood. Imagine what they're gonna do to the mini wood house when I leave it in there for a week.
And after shaking off all the termites I could, you could see this piece of wood looked quite a bit different, and it looked like it may have even been hollowed out because there's just a bunch of termites walking inside. Anyways, for the final test, before feeding them a wooden house, well, I want to put my termites through a maze.
Yep, termites, I'm gonna be testing your intelligence, and if you actually make it to the end of the maze, I'll reward you with the house.
To make this termite maze, I got out an empty fish tank and I started to cut these lines of plastic to make the shape of a maze. After going and gluing them down, I completely filled the floor up with another thin layer of dirt. If you remember, the termites dug through that first nest I made for them in a cool pattern, so I'm wondering if they're gonna do the same here and if they're gonna take any wrong turns that lead them to a dead end.
Alright, then let me go and just put this perfectly sized piece of glass here, and then let me put a piece of bark and cardboard at the end so they'll actually have a goal to get to. Well, let me gather up these termites and I'll move them in here.
And yeah, it was actually quite a bit harder than I thought to move these termites out because how incredibly small they are. So I sort of just resorted to digging up all the dirt I could that the termites were hiding under. I even found that worm that I'd placed in earlier, which is still just living peacefully inside. But yeah, eventually I got all the termites into this little container with dirt.
Alright, now I just gotta dump these in here so they can start the maze. Also, what's kind of cool is if you look at the underside of this, all the termites have just started to gather there. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, anyways, I went and started to scoop the dirt into the maze enclosure pretty pretty carefully in order to not hurt the termites. You can see this whole pile of dirt was just absolutely overflowing with tons of termites. But basically, you remember how the termites were just gathering on the bottom of the little container they were just in? The plan here is they're gonna do the same thing, and they'll slowly make their way into the maze. Hopefully. Yeah, I don't actually know if this is gonna work. But I set up my time-lapse camera and waited to see what would happen. After not too long, this termite was the first to enter the maze, but somehow he decided to crawl into the walls of the maze, and he sort of started to break through to the other side of the wall. Now, thankfully, this was a dead end, so when the rest of the colony decided to follow this cheating termite, they didn't finish too easily. Over the next few hours, you can really see how the termites learned to follow each other because so many of them ended up at this little tunnel at the top left area, but it was only a matter of time until more of the colony started to go down into the maze, and over the next day, they started to travel closer and closer to the wood end goal. I mean, they still kind of were cheating, but eventually one termite did actually make it to the wood. And yeah, I guess just like that, they had completed the maze. Good job, termites.
Well, since you guys made it to the end of this awesome maze, that of course means you guys get to eat the house now. Let me gather you guys out of here real quick and let's do that.
Yeah, it took a little while, but eventually I got him into another container.
And yeah, you can see how they're all pretty much just gathering up on the bottom once again. Oh my gosh, there's actually so many right there. But anyways, I got the house right here, so let me and boom, just like that, the house teleports inside. There's totally no editing involved in that. That was just magic.
Now, I first drilled a hole into the top of this house that I'd eventually be able to record through. Then I also added a bit of dirt around and inside of the house so the termites would want to stay here. And finally, termites need constant moisture to survive. So I'm just gonna absolutely drench this house with my spray bottle. Hopefully this will make it easier to chew through.
All right, termites, I hope you're still hungry. Yeah, I guess let me just try and take this sheet of termites and just start dumping them in the house. And then there's still tons in here, so I'm just gonna go and dump them inside and kind of just all around the house. Let's get this thing absolutely destroyed. Well, hopefully. I don't actually know if they're gonna eat it, but that's the plan.
Now, it's pretty cool to see the sheer amount of termites just swarming every single inch of this house. And you could even see them inside a little bit, but I couldn't see that much since it was kind of dark. So I, of course, set up the time-lapse camera and recorded for many hours. And you can see there was tons of termites that were just walking around the perimeter of the tank investigating what was going on, while others were still swarming around the dirt of the house and also climbing all up inside the hole that I drilled on the top of the roof. But there was no destruction really visible just yet.
Okay, it's been about 24 hours and it almost seems like the termites are doing nothing to this house. But you see, the thing that makes termites so deadly to houses is the fact that they completely work out of sight. So let's do a little more investigating on this thing.
So I pointed my super bright studio light through that hole I put in the top, and you could see the termites were in here, but yeah, it was still not super visible inside of here. So I went and pointed the camera through that hole in the roof, and I was even more amazed by the amount of termites all huddling around the wooden walls. You can even see how some of them would rapidly shake their heads. Apparently they do this to signal to the rest of the colony that danger's nearby, but yeah, you can see the walls were starting to look like they were maybe getting a little bit destroyed so far.
Yo, the termites are absolutely swarming inside of there. Hold on, wait, I wonder if they're under. Oh my gosh. That's more than I was expecting. Oh my gosh, there's even more on the underside of that.
Yeah, tons were gathering right here, as you can see. I wasn't really sure if these ones were actually eating the wood or if they were here for just cover. Either way, I kept recording my time-lapse camera, and while nothing really interesting happened on the outside, as you could probably guess, when I moved the time-lapse camera inside to start to record, you could see how there was so much more action and how they were climbing all over this wall. Surely they were eating it, but if you didn't know, termites are some of the slowest eaters in the animal kingdom, and even with over 1,000 in this 10-hour time lapse, you can't really see a whole lot of damage being made, but you can see some of these termites were making this cool little mud ball out of dirt, saliva, and wood that they spit out. They sometimes will make these little balls in their nest to keep moisture, since, as I said earlier, they need moisture to survive.
Yeah, at this pace, it would take months for the termites to start making noticeable progress through the wood. I would call this video a success. I mean, we literally learned so much about termites, so yeah, stay tuned for that when I post that.
But in the meantime, we can definitely see the tiny bits of chewing progress they've made since being in here. Pretty cool.
So yeah, stay tuned for the community post. Make sure to subscribe so you'll see it when I post it. And yeah, hopefully you learned something new about termites. Yeah, I guess click the video on the screen and goodbye.
These are mealworms, and they're known for their ability to eat almost anything. But what if you put 10,000 mealworms on a whole watermelon? How quickly would they completely eat it and turn it to mush despite its massive size?
Yeah, I don't know. So that's why I bought 10,000 meal.
There is a 1 in 73 million% chance that a snake is born with 2 heads. But by some miracle, some of these snakes are able to survive and are able to learn to live with 2 different minds.
Now, normally it would be impossible to get one of these, but I just found this guy who has a pet 2-headed snake.
Hey Terra Green, I'm Max and this is Mario and Luigi, one of the rarest 2-headed snakes in the world. They're growing a little fast and I need you to build them a new enclosure.
Well, Max, I can definitely do that. So in this video, I'm going to create a dream home paradise and put the 2-headed snake inside. Now, there's not much documented research around 2-headed snakes, so this video will be a first for YouTube, showing off everything about them. Now, because this is for one of the largest 2-headed snakes in the world, I got out a massive enclosure. And to start the build, we need to create the rainforest background. To do this, I covered the whole back glass with some spray foam, which would allow me to stick tons of large pieces of wood to it. You see, I'm trying to make a lush rainforest in here since that's where the 2-headed snake species lives in the wild. To finish the look, I covered it in dirt and other rainforesty materials.
All right, this actually looks cool how it wraps around the entire enclosure. But anyways, now using moss bricks, I'm going to fill in the floor of this enclosure. But also I'm going to use these slabs of moss and also some wood chip stuff. Yeah.
Now, with this concoction of stuff, I'm gonna add in a big tub of water, which will get entirely absorbed by these bricks. And yeah, you've probably already seen this before, but after mixing it, boom, we now had the whole floor in there completed.
Anyways, this is where it gets fun because you see 2-headed snakes are so unique. So in this enclosure, I need to make special accommodations to, accommodate how crazy they are. But the first thing being these things.
These are 2 rock water bowls, which I put inside of the enclosure. I just figured that the 2 heads are gonna want their own fresh water bowl so they don't have to share. So yeah, pretty good. Anyways, I do just have to put some normal decorations around the water bowls to make this place look more like a rainforest. And I thought it'd be cool to spread a bunch of this leaf litter along the floor to make it look like all those leaves fell from the trees above. Now, I asked Max if he wanted any special additions, and he said most 2-headed snakes aren't able to climb, but Mario and Luigi are an exception. Make sure to include tons of climbing vines so they can show off.
And lucky for him, using this, I just figured out a new trick to make climbing vines.
You see, first you get a bunch of this rope, not too thick, but also not too thin. Then you load up some silicone into a gun and get to spraying it all over the rope. After spreading it all around, you can add in a bunch of dirt and other vine stuff, and after mixing it, you will get a DIY vine.
And because the silicone on this hardens up a pretty good amount, it's gonna let me bend it around all the branches. That way we can get this hooked up everywhere along the top section.
So that's exactly what I did, putting it around every corner so Mario and Luigi would be able to climb to their heart's content. Now, to finish off the decorations, I put in a snake hide because pretty much every snake species needs that. But because we're of course putting a 2-head snake in here, I used some foam to put a little divider here because I want to see if Mario and Luigi pop out both their heads. That way they can scan for prey separately.
All right, the floor looks all good now, but now I want to scatter some plants up in the tree area to finalize that rainforest look. So you already know. I'm gonna pick out some of these colorful ones. Let me get some of these green ones. And oh man, this is just amazing.
So I went around and picked out the coolest ones I could find and then checked them out. When I got home, I of course got them out and scattered them all around the upper and lower parts of the enclosure. And then using my hot glue gun, I attached tons of draping vines and even got out some moss like I do in all my enclosures to glue around everywhere as well.
Okay, this place is super green and luscious now. It looks really good. But to finish it off, we gotta put some technology into this enclosure.
First of all, this thing, which is a rainforest spray system, so we can make this really into a rainforest. It was pretty easy to set up. I just attached the sprayers in the corner and used some glue to cover the water tubing. And now when you go down here and click the button I attached to the side of the enclosure, boom, shakalaka, it's now raining. Pretty cool. Okay, the next technology is just a simple LED light strip, which I attached to the top of the enclosure and plugged in.
It isn't anything too crazy, but I just think the pink at the top contrasts pretty well with all the green around the enclosure. So yeah, I like it. Looks good.
Well, now that I'm done with this rainforest enclosure, I can now be one of the first YouTubers to show off such an insane, never seen before creature. Well, Max lives in another city, so the next day he drove a couple hours to come pick me and the enclosure up so we could of course put the snake inside.
Yo, what's up?
What's up, dude?
Max, the man, the myth, the legend. You are the person that probably owns the top 5 rarest snakes in the world, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, the 2-headed snake. Well, anyways, let's not waste any time. Just check out this enclosure I built for them.
Alright, already this exceeds my expectation completely.
Yeah, really? You like it?
Yeah, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, I tried to make it look like just like a crazy rainforest. You know, all the plants green everywhere.
Oh my god.
Alright, but I did forget one thing actually. Right under this towel, come take a look at this.
Okay.
Mario and Luigi little figures.
All right, I like that.
Where should we put them? Just right there?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You want them together or you want them separate?
I guess the snakes are together,
yeah,
right?
That's true, yeah.
All right.
All right, I can't. This looks so cool. Let's get it back to my place.
Yeah, let's go put those two-headed snakes in.
Yeah, let's put Mario and Luigi in.
So we got the enclosure in his car and drove a few hours back to his house.
All right, we're here. Let's go inside. I can't wait to see that two-headed snake. Let's actually get that in right away.
After bringing it inside, I set up the camera stuff and got the enclosure ready while Max went to pick up Mario and Luigi.
All right, come over here. I want to show you something.
Oh, you want to show me something? Is Mario and Luigi in here?
Yeah, but before I show you them, I want you to realize how rare they are and how special they are, like that they're still alive.
What Max did is he pulled out the container that actually had the mom that gave birth to the two-headed snake, and he told me normally for a two-headed snake to be born, a snake's egg has the chance for twins to be inside, but then there's a super rare chance that there's a birth defect that causes the twins to only partially split, causing it to have two different snake heads in one body.
The reason why Mario and Luigi are way crazier is because they're boas and they give live birth.
So that's a boa and that gives live birth?
Yes, meaning all the stuff that we just explained happens in the mother's stomach.
So yeah, one day this mom just gave birth to a two-headed snake. And as you can see in these pictures, it's a little disgusting when they're born, a bunch of slime and stuff everywhere. But despite all odds, Mario and Luigi were born that day and were perfectly functioning as a normal snake.
Okay, that's cool and all, but let's get to the reason why we're all here. Where's Mario and Luigi? Are they in here?
All right, yes they are. Right here.
Okay.
So we got the two-headed snake's current enclosure out, and immediately we opened up the lid to reveal the beauty inside. Mario and Luigi right there in front of my eyes, just chilling around.
This is something that shouldn't exist in this species. Two heads in one body.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This thing is like majestical.
If you think that's crazy, wait till we feed them. Watching them eat live is crazy.
And yes, eating with two heads means sometimes they will both separately try to eat the same food. And it's one of the most interesting things in all of nature. But as you can see, Max has been keeping them in this enclosure. And while it may look basic, it's actually not bad. Two-head snakes are super delicate creatures, and it's best not to have anything too complex in the place where they sleep. But he had me build this rainforest so we could document what two-head snakes do in the wild.
All right, so why don't we just get these in the enclosure?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, you're just gonna go straight and pick it up. Okay. You're not even scared of getting bit at all?
I mean, it could happen, but once you pick them up, they calm down. They realize that you mean no harm.
Oh, that's cool. Oh man, they're chill. They're just sitting there.
So Max put them in, and apparently Mario and Luigi have never seen an enclosure as natural as this, so right away they got to exploring.
This is so interesting. So do these two heads, do they both control the body?
Yeah, they have to, they kind of struggle.
So which one's on the left? So
That's Luigi.
That's Luigi. So Luigi's trying to go left, and Mario on the right, he's trying to go right. So it's like, they're kind of like stumped.
Now this is actually a pretty common problem for two-headed snakes, but since Mario and Luigi are over a year old, they know how to handle this and continue moving on together. Now Max wanted to prove Mario and Luigi were good at climbing, so he picked them up and put them in the tree area.
So usually, is this boa like species good at climbing?
Yeah, they're pretty arboreal.
Okay.
And immediately Mario and Luigi started to work together to climb around. And Max was right, they were pretty good and got around with no problems whatsoever.
Another interesting thing about Mario and Luigi is they each have their own personality.
Luigi's on the left, so Luigi is what's his personality
He's
like?
definitely more go with the floor, more your typical boa. He's more relaxed.
Okay.
And then Mario over here is kind of feistier.
Now Max wanted to show the two personalities in action, so he took them out the rainforest and put them back into the other enclosure.
So just having him in here, I want to show you how Mario's personality is different.
Yeah.
Just having my finger in front of him.
Oh yeah, Mario's definitely getting a lot more like agitated. The one on the left, Luigi, like he's just chilling.
He's
Mario's
smelling my finger and Mario doesn't want to smell. He just means business.
that is crazy. But you're just like fine getting your finger like that. I would not do that. You're just crazy.
Now finally, before feeding them, Max insisted on me holding the two-headed snake to get that experience.
I mean, I don't really know how to do this though.
Pick them up from their end.
Okay, so we just want to start. Oh, they're kind of getting mad at me. I'm not gonna lie. Ooh. Okay, so we just pick them up and then
Slide your hand underneath.
They're not gonna bite me. Ooh. Okay, so I'm picking up a two-head snake. How many people can say they've done this, huh?
Not a lot.
Yeah, this is crazy.
As you saw, I was very scared at first, but eventually they really mellowed out and they started to crawl all over me. And yeah, they even did some crazy acrobats. That's pretty impressive, actually. But now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, watching the two heads eat. So to do that, we got out a tiny little mouse.
All right, it's time to feed it the mouse, and this is just freshly killed, right? This is from your little mouse
pre-killed.
farm. Okay, let's see what they do. Oh, he just immediately went and grabbed it. This is so cool. So while Luigi's eating, Mario's just sitting there. And do you think Mario, does he usually eat less than Luigi?
Definitely. Mario eats probably once a month, while Luigi eats every week.
So for about 10 minutes, Luigi tried to get a good hold of the mouse and and swallow it. But it was so interesting because Mario kept going about his day, just slithering around, while Luigi was still trying to swallow the mouse.
That is so crazy how Mario's just like kind of doing his own thing. Luigi's trying to swallow. Like, why is this happening?
It's two snakes in one body, so Mario's trying to move while Luigi's trying to eat.
But eventually, Luigi started to get the hang of it and got the whole thing into his mouth and down his stomach. And if you thought that wasn't cool enough, a couple days later, we got this insane footage of both the snakes eating. First of all, we put some mice in front of both of them, and like always, Luigi grabbed his, but Mario missed. But as Luigi started to swallow, Mario got bored and started to just grab onto the mouse as well. It was crazy watching Mario just latch on while Luigi stuffed it down his mouth. They even started to sort of fight with each other and drag it around the entire enclosure. So to make sure nothing bad happened, we tried to feed Mario again, and thankfully this time he took the little mouse and everything was good. Well, thank you for watching. This was my craziest video ever. Subscribe for more. Bye.
I'm just kidding. What I actually did was went onto Facebook Marketplace where I could buy a bunch of stuff for super cheap. Okay, so I've searched up terrarium on Facebook Marketplace and I'm not really finding anything good for under $10. I mean, seriously, look at these. This one's $40. Bro, who built this? This thing's trash. It literally just has grass and leaves. $40? That's a scam. Okay, instead I'm gonna search up jar because I might be able to find something I can use. And oh yeah, these are more in my budget. Okay, this one might work well. 3 sort of new jars. They're apparently in excellent condition, but one has a giant crack in it. I don't know if that's excellent. Yeah, I mean, I could probably make like leaf scott of this and stuff. I don't know. Let me just go buy it. Okay, so I met up with the guy and gave him the $5 bill, you know. And of course, now I got the jars. Oh, that did not sound good. And because I had multiple jars, I got the idea to build a different biome in each one. Like, what if in this one I built a forest, this one I built a desert, and then in this one I built a lake? I mean, if I built a lake, it'd be more of an aquarium than a terrarium, but whatever. So that's what I planned on doing. And then at the end, I'd be able to compare the $10 biomes with the $1,000 ecosystem to see which was better. Okay, so I'm gonna create this first jar into a forest, and to do that I'm gonna need some basic materials like dirt, wood, rocks, and plants. The problem is though that we only have $5 to turn all of these jars into terrariums, and literally just a bag of dirt is over $10. Ooh, that's not good. But thankfully for me, dirt is actually free if we just, you know, walk outside. Oh yeah, look at this quality dirt right here. Let me just, you know, dig this up. All right, the dirt has been acquired. But before putting it in, I have to make a drainage layer in this jar first because that's just what terrariums need. But thankfully, that can be done easily again by just walking outside and picking up some rocks. All right, I put the rocks in, but now typically you'd use some sort of material like this window screen to separate the drainage layer from the substrate. But of course, window screen is definitely not in our budget, so we're gonna have to think of another alternative. So I did some searching around outside, hoping I could find something. Okay, I guess there's some plastic here. Wait, this could actually work. Has some like Chinese on it. I don't know what this says, but okay, wait, let me see if I can use this. And as the saying goes, one man's trash is another man's terrarium substrate separator. I poked some holes in the plastic to allow water to pass through, and that let me put the dirt on top. And there we go, the base of the forest terrarium is finished. But obviously this is not a forest, it's just dirt. So in order to make it a forest, I needed to add in some decorations, which just meant I had to go outside again and pick up more stuff. Yeah, that's kind of what this entire forest build is. As you can see, we got all sorts of supplies, which is gonna allow me to customize my terrarium to my artistic liking. And wait, look at this plant here. The roots on this one looks like it's growing some sort of vegetable or something. Wait, is this like a radish or a green onion? Wait, does it taste like one? Oh, it does not taste like one. Anyways, I put the decorations in the build. All right, now time for the grand reveal of this forest. Let's move this down and oh yeah, look at this. Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but at least it looks pretty good for being basically free. Now, there's just one more thing to do to finish this little forest, and that's to add some life into it. Now, it'd be cool to add like a frog or something in here, but yeah, this is probably not big enough for a frog, so I'm gonna have to settle for something I find outside again. Now, to be honest, I'll just settle for like an earthworm or something. Oh, wait, I see something right there. Wait, do you see that? Oh. Wait, bro, there's a cricket. Okay, wait, this is even better than a worm. So I picked up the cricket and put him into his new home. Alright, and the cricket is in there. Can you see it in there? It's kind of hard to see, but it's right there.
Bruh.
The forest was now complete, and to finish off the $10 builds, I still needed to make the desert and a lake, which will be a lot more interesting to build, since I won't be able to just find the materials right outside my house. But before building those, the package for my $1,000 terrarium just arrived, so I'm gonna start building that first. Okay, this is pretty heavy, but I think I got it. There we go, that is the box, you know? So let me open this up, and I swear, if this thing is not already put together, I'm gonna be very mad because I do not want to build this from scratch. Oh no, I don't think this is put together. Yeah, it's definitely not. There's just glass panes here. Okay, there goes 2 hours probably.
2 hours later.
And along with the tank, I also did buy a bunch of supplies, about $395.87 worth of supplies, which are right here. But to start off the build, we basically got to get rid of all of this stuff, so, because the first step for building this terrarium is to put this little water filter chamber thing that I built into it. For this $1,000 build, I'm going all out, and I'm making an entire chunk of the rainforest with a working river running through it. And this will let me filter the water and allow fish to live in there. So to build this thing, I first sprayed the entire back of the glass with some silicone, which will allow me to put tree branches sticking out on it. To keep the wood in place, I used some spray foam to do some more spraying. And finally, I stuck a bunch of dirt all along the back so it looked more natural. All right, look at this thing. This thing is actually enormous. This is like as tall as me. And don't worry about this being ugly right now, because later on, I'm gonna add a ton of plants here to make this actually look good. But for now, we're gonna focus on the floor area, because right now, I'm gonna make this into a river. To make it, I first glued in a piece of foam to easily separate the land and water areas. Then I got a ton of rocks and wood to create a natural looking underwater environment, because you know, there's usually rocks and wood underwater. All right, there we go. That is done now. So let's finish that underwater area look and add some sand in, because you know, you need sand to make an underwater section. Okay, now that the floor and the water portion's done, let's get to the floor and the land portion. For this, I'm gonna be mostly using these Leica balls. Honestly, these kind of look like cocoa pebbles, but I think I learned my lesson. Now, to complete this floor area, I need to put a layer of substrate on top of it. But before doing that, I used this pump to do some plumbing and create a tube that will allow the river to actually have a working water flow. Then finally, I added the dirt on top to finish the floor area. All right, now there's just 2 more things to finish this build. 1 to add water, and 2 to add plants. And thankfully I can do that first one pretty quickly, just like this. So now I want to test if the water flow actually works to see if we can actually turn this into a river. All right, so let me plug this thing in, and this better work. I spent like the past 2 hours doing this, and oh, okay, so it's working, but the water flow is very extreme. That's kind of messing up the sand. Okay, this is just making the water very dirty right now. Can you stop doing that? So to fix the issue, I got some tape to try and make the end of the tube more narrow. Oh, nah. Oh, nope, that is not working. Oh, no. Taping it does not work. Oh my god. Now in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been doing that right next to the power strip, but thankfully my house didn't explode. Anyways, eventually I got the water flow working, and the $1,000 terrarium was starting to come together pretty nicely. But since things aren't going too well for this right now, I'm gonna take a break and just move on to the $10 terrariums. Alright, so we're moving from this beautiful $1,000 build over back to the minuscule $10 builds. And as you know, the forest build is already done, so we're moving on to the desert build now. Now for the drainage layer of this, we can do the same thing we did in the forest and just go get some rocks. But now this is where things get tricky, because I can't really just go outside and get sand, because I basically live in the middle of not a desert. You know, there's trees outside and stuff. So that means the only way I can get some sand is if I buy it. I don't know if there's actually gonna be any sand under $5 that I could buy. Let me just search it up anyways, and oh, that's not good. And wait, $2 for sand. Oh my gosh, it's not even lying. $3 for sand. Okay, that is actually so good. I can actually get some sand now. Well, I guess let me go to Betco. I'll be there soon. Thankfully, it was still in stock when I got there, so I bought that, and then I poured it in the jar. Now, similar to the forest terrarium that we built earlier, we're gonna need plants for this desert one. Now, ideally, we get a nice cactus in this thing. I think that'd look pretty cool. The only problem is, as you know, our budget is lacking a little bit. Okay, well, maybe there's a chance I can buy a cactus for super cheap. Cactus near me. And yeah, $1,000, $200 for a cactus. Wait, there's actually one for $1. Wait, what? Okay, wait, this is actually good. I can buy a cactus for $1. That fits in our budget. It's at this store called Michael's. I've never even heard of that, but $1. I guess I'm going to Michael's. So I went there, and they had some absolutely fantastical cacti to choose from. So I got myself this. This massive cactus was only $1. Dang, I've like literally never heard of Michael's. There was no cars in the parking lot. Guys, you need to go to Michael's. They got some fantastical deals there. All right, let's get this in here. I'm gonna dig out a little hole with my golden spoon. Don't ask why it's golden. And so I added the cactus in, and the desert build was now complete. But to fully finish the terrarium, I once again needed to add life into it. And since I wouldn't be able to buy anything with my 71-cent budget, I got the idea to put a worm in there from outside to act as a sandworm. Because, you know, I didn't really have any other options. All right, let's put this sandworm in his home, and there we go. The desert build is now finished. I hope you enjoy your new life, little boy. Okay, so I was planning on moving straight to building the lake right after this. But you remember how I got this cactus at Michael's or Michelle? I don't remember what it was called, but you know how I got this cactus? Well, while I was there, I also got pretty much all the plants we're gonna need for this $1,000 build for a pretty good price. It barely even made a dent in our budget. So I'm gonna go and put these in right now, I guess. And oh shoot. Oh, that is not good. While I was putting all that spray foam on the back, I was supposed to also put these little plant pots there, but I forgot, so this is gonna be a lot harder to put the plants in the bin. But thankfully, I'm a genius, and I used my hot glue gun to glue all the plant pots on the back of the wall. Then I was able to put all the plants in the pots. I even got some aquatic plants to put in the water area to fully round off everything in this $1,000 build. Now, some people may say these very obviously black pots put all around the terrarium is ugly. And well, to those people, I say that you are probably right. This is pretty ugly. But I guess this is the downside of the $1,000 build. It's too complex to make. Well, anyways, to complete this terrarium, I needed to add life into it, which I was gonna do by adding in fish. But before doing that, I want to finish the $10 terrariums. All right, the first two terrariums are done. Now we just gotta focus on this last one, which of course is gonna be the lake. Now, I bet some of you have probably been wondering, how on earth am I gonna turn this into a lake? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. Let me show you how we're gonna do it. We're just gonna take this, we're gonna take it out to my car, buckle it in, and drive. Now, you see, I figured the best way to make a lake terrarium is to just go to an actual lake and scoop up the sand and water. That way, I wouldn't have to worry about our lack of money. All right, I've made it. I mean, it's not a lake, it's a river, but no, it's gonna have to do. This is very embarrassing. I really hope someone doesn't see me trying to pick up this water and put it in my jar. Okay, I have Serrate around me. No one's near me. I have time to get this water, baby. Give me this water. So I collected all the water I needed and also scooped up some of the dirt so I could bring it home. So I added everything in and the lake ended up looking like this. Yeah, not very appealing. Well, there wasn't much I could do. So anyways, I needed to add life into it. And this was actually gonna be pretty easy because a few videos back, I built a lake ecosystem on my desk. And in that video, I put some albino mystery snails into it. And just recently, they had babies. So I'm just gonna yoink this guy and put him into his new home. Do you even see it in there? It's there, I think. Wait, no, I think it's there. I can't even tell where it is. I think it might be dead. The $10 builds were all completely finished, but don't leave yet, as now I'm adding the most coolest, epicest, super cool life into the $1,000 build. Guppies. Okay, to you, maybe they're not the coolest fish ever, but to me, I mean, they look pretty cool. They got spots and fins and, okay, you know, let's just add them in. So I put some of this API quick start bacteria in, so it would be safe to add the fish whilst the cycling process took place. And immediately, you could tell they absolutely loved their new home. Well, I can't say that they loved it for sure, but I mean, they were swimming around and stuff, so they probably did. I even turned on the river flow to see how they would react. Most of them seemed pretty annoyed, but one of them kept playing around in it and flinging himself around the river. The $1,000 terrarium and $10 terrariums are now all finished. Are the $10 terrariums better, or is the $1,000 terrarium better? And well, the answer is pretty obvious. The $1,000 terrarium is better. But you do gotta remember, this is literally $1,000. Like, literally, you could replace this with a used car, or, okay, maybe not a car.
Over the past year, I've collected some of the craziest, most interesting pets from every corner of the world. So I've decided to turn all those separate pet videos into one giant movie. Fish that can walk, dinosaurs, ants, and way more are all in this video. So grab some snacks and sit back because you are about to be amazed.
Apparently, there's this rare species of lizard that not only looks like a dinosaur, but acts just like one. The name of it is a frilled dragon, and it looks very deadly. But despite how dangerous it looks, I found this website that sells legal exotic animals, including this dinosaur.
For $800. So yeah, basically I'm gonna buy this, build it at home, and try to keep it as a pet. And I don't know how hard that is gonna be, because as you've already seen, this thing is literally that thing's a demon. I mean, look at that. But anyways, let's just buy this thing.
And in this video, I'll be judging how good of a pet a dinosaur actually is by doing stuff like taking it outside like a dog. Yeah, this video's crazy. But before any of that, I first have to wait for it to be delivered, which is going to take about a week. So in the meantime, let's build this thing its dream home with everything it could possibly want.
And to do that, well, I've got a lot of stuff.
I first put together the glass enclosure to build the dream home inside of. And anyways, now it's time to actually build the dream home, and to do that, there's 5 steps, starting with creating the background. To create the background, I sprayed a ton of foam all along the glass so I could stick a ton of wood to it. You see, I'm basically recreating a forest in here, since that's where frilled dragons live in the wild. And to complete the forest look, I covered it in a ton of dirt and wood chips so it'd look nice and natural, you know. As you can see, this tank is already looking very, very beautiful and natural with all that wood and dirt, but it's also looking a bit brown and lifeless too. So let's get to doing some more stuff, starting with the floor. Now I know I was just complaining about everything being brown, but to make the floor we do gotta use some brown dirt. So yeah, the cheapest way to get a bunch of quality dirt is to use one of these compressed coconut fiber bricks, which may not seem like a lot of dirt, but if we add a huge tub of water to it, well, now it's a lot of dirt. Finally, I mixed in a bunch of other types of ground stuff, because that's what forest floors got, you know. Alright, this is starting to look almost like a forest, but we're still missing some key things. So let's move on to step 3, plants and decorations. Now first of all, I've got 2 different types of moss, which to start, I'll use carpet moss, which comes conveniently packaged in this box. Now I always thought moss was just like dead grass or something, but it's actually an alive organism that over time is gonna grow and overtake the entire terrarium. Pretty cool. And I also spread a different type of moss around to add a little bit more variety in this tank. Now this moss is absolutely fantastical, you know, it really brings the whole thing to life. But I'm gonna need way more plants if I'm gonna make this thing look like the dinosaur's actual habitat, which means I'm gonna go get some actual plants with leaves and flowers on them and stuff like that. Yeah, so of course I got in my car to go to the best plant store in town.
Bruh.
Which if you've seen my channel before, you already know where I'm going, baby.
Place your item in the...
Now, I had some people shaming me for going to Walmart for plants in a previous video, but clearly you guys don't understand the fantastical selection of plants they got. I mean, look at all these.
Thanks, Walmart, for all these good plants.
So I got a couple small plants, and I also got one big one that should make the dinosaur nice and happy. And while I was walking around there, I also saw they had some plant Lego sets, which, you know, I like Lego, so of course I bought some, baby. When I got home, I figured I should just build the Lego set real quick to see how those plants look. So I put that all together, and then I put each of the plants inside of the enclosure and check these out.
Yo, this looks so cool. I'm just kidding, this actually looks pretty stupid. I don't know why I spent $50 on this. Get this trash out of here.
Instead, I of course got out the plants I bought and planted them around the tank. There we go, this thing is starting to come together well now. But in order to complete the decorations, I need to add a huge piece of wood that goes diagonally from the bottom of the tank to the top of the tank, so that the dinosaur will be able to have easy access to the heat lamp that will be at the top. And this is the only wood I have right now. Definitely not enough to get to the top. So in order to get some more wood, I went outside to find some.
Okay, so I basically just need to get some sort of branch that's nice and thick and long, and that's kind of too thin. I need something that's not going to snap under the pressure of the dinosaur, and yeah, that one kind of sucks too. But oh, this one actually looks pretty good. Look at this. My hand kind of wraps around it. That's good thickness.
So I went inside and grabbed the biggest knife from my kitchen, and I got to sawing.
This should only take like 30 minutes. I'll be done soon.
Eventually, I was able to get this fantastical piece of wood that would work perfectly, so I quickly hosed it down to remove dirt and insects and stuff, and brought it back inside. After breaking it down so it would fit, I put it in place and covered the bottom with some more wood. And boom, the decorations are complete in here. But of course, I'm not just gonna leave the tank like this. We've got to first add in some technologies to make this the best enclosure ever, starting with some water technologies. The first water technology I got is this little box, which is actually an automatic humidifier. You see, frilled dragons need the humidity in their enclosure to be pretty high, and basically this, well, you know, it humidifies the enclosure by spraying water everywhere. Nice. The second water technology I got is extremely high tech. It's a water bowl. Yeah, so you know the dinosaur can get a drink of water and stuff. Now, even though I added in this amazing water dish, frilled dragons actually never drink from it. They actually just use it as a bathroom. Yeah. So to allow the dinosaur to actually get a drink of water, I got out this water pump, put it in a container of water, and linked it up with some tubing. Now, when I turn it on, it creates this nice little flow of water, which frilled dragons will actually drink from. Well, now, there's just one more thing to build before I add the frilled dragon in, and that is heat. And basically what that means is I need to recreate the sun in this enclosure. To do that, I got a heavy-duty heat lamp and an expensive top-quality UV bulb that recreates the same UV rays that the sun does. I also got another lamp with a high-intensity heat bulb because frilled dragons like it to be extremely hot in their homes. To test the temperature, I hooked up a thermometer, and as you can see, it reached up to 100 degrees in the basking spot, which is perfect. Finally, I put a bit of aluminum foil on top to keep the heat and humidity inside. Okay, well, the frilled dragon's home is now complete, and well, it's time to add it inside. And the next day, I got a notification on my phone saying the package was ready for pickup. So I drove out to FedEx. All right, so I just got back from FedEx, and I just picked up this box, which is probably the frilled dragon. I mean, it says live animal. Hopefully, it didn't give me the wrong package. But anyways, I'm gonna take this thing inside and put it in the cage. And oh, there's some chickens right there. Bruh. I might gotta show these guys to the dinosaur. They're gonna be good friends. But before I do anything like that, let's just start by opening up this box. Oh my gosh, I can kind of see the dinosaur right now, and well, it's definitely a dinosaur. Now that I have the frilled dragon, I'm gonna find out if dinosaurs are actually good pets by doing stuff like feeding it, taking it outside, and even more. But first, let's get this guy in the enclosure. Now, this may not look like a dinosaur just yet, but that's because its thing on its neck only comes out on special occasions. But trust me, I will be showing you exactly what it looks like later in the video. Okay, well, the dinosaur is in its enclosure right now, and honestly, I'm still scared to get within a 5-foot radius of this thing. Like, I have no idea if this is as ferocious as those videos made it out to be, but I guess we're gonna find out. For now, I already know this guy is very hungry and thirsty from spending a day in that shipping container, and as you can see, his water bowl is already messed up because he was like jumping around and pooping in there like I thought he would. So to give him a drink of water, I turned my water pump on a very low setting, which made little drops of water fall above the dinosaur. Immediately, he started to stick out his tongue and take little sips of it, which is actually pretty cool to watch. Then he just started to bask in it like he was taking a shower. Dang, maybe this guy isn't as ferocious as I thought. He actually looks pretty chill right now. Now, to feed the frilled dragon, I asked the guy I bought it from which insect is the dinosaur's favorite, and he said crickets are one of the best. So, I got a bag of some pretty big crickets. Bruh, what are these guys all running around in here for? It's not like you guys gonna escape. They're just jumping around. Are you guys stupid? And literally immediately after I put a bunch of them in, the dinosaur started to go crazy, as you can see, jumping all around the enclosure to get a nice, juicy meal. And to show you just how cool it is when the frilled dragon hunts, I hired a professional nature documentary narrator to tell you what's going on. Look at this.
In this small, recreated prehistoric world, a cricket enjoys a quiet meal of moss. But nearby, the frilled dragon, a creature with roots deep in ancient history, has spotted the movement. Suddenly, the dragon's head snaps towards the cricket. In an instant, it leaps forward, jaws closing around the cricket with precision. The cricket's meal is cut short, now being completely devoured by one of nature's best hunters.
Now, as you can see, that was very cool, and the dinosaur is a very good hunter. So to rank how good of a pet this dinosaur is, I'm gonna rank a bunch of different factors, and because it was super cool watching this guy drink and eat, I'm gonna give Care a 9 out of 10. Yeah, 9 out of 10. That's a pretty good score. Good job, bro. But another important factor that goes into a pet being good is how friendly it is and whether or not it lets you handle it. Now, dogs are the perfect example of this. You know, they're super fluffy and nice, and they pretty much never bite you. Aww. But frilled dragons, on the other hand, yeah, I mean, based off the videos I've seen, they are not friendly at all. All right, this is the moment of truth. I'm gonna figure out if this guy's gonna let me hold him. And to make sure I don't get bit, I've got some hand protection, as you can see. I'm just gonna go start by trying to pet him. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're petting him, and it seems like he's chill with that. I'm just gonna be very gentle. Oh! Okay, I got very scared there for a second, but... So yeah, yeah, I was too scared to pick him up with my hand, so I just picked up the log he was sitting on.
There you go. Good boy, good boy. Okay, we're doing it. Okay, so we're just gonna start by putting him on the kitchen table. Let's see. Stay right there. And there we go. Look at him. When he's out of his cage, he's doing good. He's just sitting there. Dang, but he's actually being a good boy. And the craziest thing is you see the frill on his neck. It hasn't even come out yet. So usually they put the frill out on their neck when they're super angry. But this guy, he hasn't even put it out once. He's like super chill with me. So he's just letting me pet him. He's a good boy, bro.
And since the dinosaur was doing so good just chilling inside, I decided I would try and bring him outside to let him explore the world.
And I'm outside with the frilled dragon. Look at this. He's just basking in the sun. This is awesome. It's actually pretty cool. He's like blending in with the log. I'm pretty sure he does that to avoid any birds of prey. Because normally in the wild, they're like scared of birds attacking him. But right now, he's just blending in with the log. He's not even scared at all. And like I said, I was going to show the frilled dragon to the chickens. So I don't want him to get too stressed out, but I'm just going to kind of let him see the chickens. You see them over there? Yeah, you see the chickens? Aren't they so cool? Oh, they look pretty scared. And oh, okay, they're just running away. Yeah, I think they're scared of him. Okay, I'm just going to bring him back inside.
That actually went very well, and the dinosaur didn't even get mad at me once. But to be fair, I was too scared to hold him, so because of that, I'm giving friendliness a 7 out of 10. And now for the final thing that determines how good a pet is to see the reaction of my mom. So yeah, I'm gonna show it to my mom. But real quick, I just want to let you know that only 5% of people are actually subscribed. And I know every YouTuber says this, and I said the same thing last video, but it is a real statistic. So please just subscribe if you like this video. Thank you very much.
Mom, can you come in? Have you seen my new pet?
No.
All right, so the lizard is in this giant enclosure right here. Do you see it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically right there. And, or do you know what kind of lizard it is though?
It looks like a little dinosaur.
A dinosaur would, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I got it. It looks like a dinosaur. And guess how much it costs?
I don't know.
It cost $800.
No, it did not.
It cost $800.
It's not even funny.
It did. But this
That's
is the new
crazy,
this is the new addition to the family. All right.
What's his name?
Doesn't have a name.
No, Mr.
right.
Prehistoric.
You wanna name him Mr. Prehistoric?
Prehistoric.
That's a stupid name. So what do you rate it out of 10?
You're pretty cool, Prehistoric. 10.
10 out of 10?
10 out of 10.
Okay, bye.
Thanks. So she actually ended up liking it and gave it a 10 out of 10. That means the average score for the pet dinosaur is 8.7 out of 10. So that means this is actually a very, very good pet. I recommend it to anybody that can afford it, which is nobody, because who's gonna spend $800 on a lizard? Anyways, I know I said that the dinosaur would be showing his neck frill a lot in this video, which he hasn't yet. So to try and make him do it, I got a scary picture on my phone and showed it to him. And he didn't really care. So I tried getting another picture of a bird predator this time, which yeah, he didn't care about that either. So sorry guys, I lied. Mr. Prehistoric is not going to show his frill in this video, but that is a good thing anyways, because it means he likes me and he isn't stressed at all.
But don't leave yet, guys, because we're only just getting started, and the next pet, or should I say pets, are even cooler. Say hello to my ant colony.
This is my harvester ant colony. Despite starting from a tiny little tube, over the past 30 days, the colony has expanded to an entirely new level. Over the month, I've documented their lifestyle, including them hunting, building shelter, eating, and more. I even introduced special predators and prey in order to simulate real-world scenarios in the wild. To understand how this all started, we gotta go back to day 1, where my entire colony was confined to a single tube. But while they may be small, they are already extremely powerful. To demonstrate this, I'm putting a live mealworm inside. The colony immediately went into defense mode, and the workers swarmed the worm. While half of the ants used their mandibles to crush the worm's exoskeleton, the other half gathered around the queen and larvae to protect them from the potential threat. Using their stingers, they injected a potent venom into the worm to paralyze it. The mealworm stood no chance, and its only purpose now was to serve as food for my colony over the next few days. But I could tell the colony was getting way too big for this tiny tube, and they were even trying to break their way out. So I figured now is a good time to expand them into a bigger home. This is a hybrid nest, and it's gonna be their new home. So I connected vinyl tubing, and soon enough, one of the ants started to walk towards the new nest. After discovering it, she traveled back to her home to tell the rest of the colony about the newfound land. And slowly, over the rest of the day, everyone moved into the nest. I let the colony get used to their new home for a few days, but by day 6, I was bored of just looking at the ants in a plastic nest. So I wanted to build their first real-world habitat with live prey and predators, a desert. For the build, I built up the substrate starting with a drainage layer, and then I added in a mix of sand and coconut fiber for the floor. I finally added in rocks, wood, and cacti to make it, you know, a desert. The desert was complete, so I connected the ants with another vinyl tube, and quickly a couple workers ventured into the uncharted territory. In order to give a reason for the colony to explore further into this desert, I sprinkled some of their favorite food around the habitat, dandelion seeds. And let's just say those seeds made the ants start swarming into the desert, and everyone was doing their part to take food back to the queen. But one of the ants traveled a little too far into the desert and came across this little pit. Thinking it was nothing, he made the worst decision of his life and walked into it. Something was attacking, and the ant could do nothing about it. You see, earlier that day, I had placed antlion larvae into the desert. These guys create little holes in the sand and wait for an unlucky ant like this guy to stumble in. But this ant wasn't going to die without a fight and grabbed on with his mandibles. The antlion was actually losing and didn't even have a grip on the ant. But the antlion was smarter and used his ability to burrow and pulled the ant under the sand, never to be seen again. While the ants liked the desert, they had to be careful to avoid the deadly predators. Anyways, I wanted to add a desert-themed prey into this habitat to give the ants a solid protein source. So let me introduce you to Mexican jumping beans. These guys may just look like giant seeds, but in reality, they move. That's because inside of each of these beans is a little caterpillar that would eventually turn into a beautiful moth. But these caterpillars will not be turning into moths because the ants are going to eat them. Now, to be honest, I thought the ants would just swarm the jumping beans and dig their way into them, but in reality, they didn't really react to them. So I had to expose the juicy prey inside by cutting them open myself and putting them right next to some of the colony. And well, it's safe to say that the ants enjoyed the soft membrane caterpillars that they could split in half with their mandibles. Okay, that's actually pretty brutal if I'm being honest. The colony slowly started to build up their food supply at their home base with seeds and the caterpillars. And of course, the excess food led the queen to start laying more and more eggs. And after only a few days, the colony's population was getting ready to boom. So to prepare for all the new ants, I'm gonna build another entire habitat for the ants to explore with all the new predators and prey. So in this weirdly shaped terrarium, I'm building a rainforest. Honestly, it's a little complicated on how I built it, so I'm just gonna show you these sped up clips, and there we go. I'm gonna first fill up this rainforest with some Kentucky bluegrass seeds, and then I've also got some flightless fruit flies for the ants to get even more food. Of course, where there's food, the ants will venture. And within a few minutes, the ants were swarming their new habitat. The flightless fruit flies were the perfect size for the ants to hunt. And literally single ants could bring them back to the nest. But this wasn't just a food-filled dreamland. There are predators here, and this ant is about to figure out the hard way. With one wrong turn, the ant makes its way towards a carnivorous Venus flytrap. The ant slightly stepped onto it, not knowing its life could end at any moment. Foolishly, it fell for the bait, as Venus flytraps produce a sweet nectar to attract insects. As the ant was busy inspecting the plant, the flytrap slowly started to close its mouth, leaving no chance of escape for the ant. You can see the ant slightly moving around inside, but over the coming days, the Venus flytrap will produce a type of acid that will dissolve the poor ant into nothing but nutrients. But carnivorous plants weren't the only thing the ants had to watch out for, as I'm about to introduce a fierce predator into the rainforest. Something menacing with excellent eyesight and sharp venomous fangs. Everyone, please welcome Jeremy, my jumping spider. Aww. I haven't fed Jeremy in days, so I expect him to instantly start eating the ants. Wait, what? Okay, it turns out Jeremy is a little bit camera shy and just instantly went to hide in some plants. I tried to push him out so I could film him eating some of the ants, but he just went and hid at another place where I couldn't even see him. Well, Jeremy is in this rainforest, and when he does decide to come out, these ants better be careful. Yeah. It was now day 23, and today I wanted to simulate some natural disasters across not only the rainforest, but also the desert to see how the ants will react. Of course, over in the desert, I'm going to create a sandstorm. So I brought over my hairdryer and turned it on. The sand started to fly everywhere, and the ants that were out exploring had to try their best to cling onto the grains of sand that they could. But over in the rainforest, fog had started to roll in, and a thunderstorm appeared out of nowhere. This rain will play a vital role in making sure the ant colony has enough water to sustain their entire colony. It was nearing the end of the 30-day simulation, and today, on day 28, I wanted to see how the ants would respond to an intruder in their home nest. The intruder I'm gonna put in the nest is this dubia roach. So I removed the glass and put the roach in. Immediately, it crawled down to the bottom of the nest where there were no ants. Now, to be honest, I thought the ants would instantly start swarming the roach, but it took a few minutes before even the first ant had contact with it. The ant got super scared and fell on his back. But the roach was just as scared, and it ran all the way to the exit of the nest. He then crawled out into the desert outworld, never to be seen again. Thankfully, the queen was left unharmed, and the colony got to live another day.
Well, that's it for the 30-day ant simulation. They'll eventually grow to have hundreds or even thousands of workers. But for now, say hello to my next pet, which has an absolutely insane special ability.
This is a totally regular fish. Just kidding, it can literally walk on land. Yeah, I just figured out that there's this species of fish that has evolved over millions of years to be able to survive out of the water. It's called a mud skipper, and I want to keep it as a pet. So I did what any normal person would do, and I drove to PetSmart so I could buy it. Hi, do you guys sell mud skippers?
A mud skipper? Yeah, we don't sell those.
Okay, turns out PetSmart just has goldfish and these things.
What even is that?
So yeah, they don't have mud skippers. And it turns out the only way I could get one of these things is by going to this sketchy website and getting one for only $24. Why is it so cheap? This has got to be a scam. Is this thing even gonna be able to walk? I don't even have a choice. Let me just buy this thing. Okay, well, it's gonna be here in 7 days, so I guess I just gotta wait for then. With 1 week until the walking fish got delivered, I needed to create a home for it with both a section for water and land. So to do that, I just went out and bought, one second. This. It's a 40-gallon terrarium, and I'm gonna fill it up with this. I'm just kidding, there's more. A lot more. So yeah, basically a lot of stuff, because I want to make this be a dream home for my mud skipper that will have tons of awesome stuff, including a literal parkour course to figure out if the $24 mud skipper will actually be able to jump out of the water. Alright, anyways, to build this tank, we can pretty much get rid of all of this stuff. And that's because all we need right now are these. Although it may not look like it, inside of each of these packages is rocks. Just for some reason, they've all been individually wrapped. I don't know who did that, but I guess I gotta unwrap all these now.
20 minutes later.
Alright, there we go. Basically, I'm gonna use these rocks to lay out the foundation of the enclosure to separate the land and water areas. So I laid some of the rocks out, but then I eventually ran into a problem. Okay, I've just run out of small rocks while building, and the only rocks I have left are way too big. So you know what time it is. There we go. So I continued building up the height of the rocks like this, because I'm planning on building a waterfall here with a working water flow, so the walking fish will be able to play around in it. Now to fill in the gaps, I've got to use this spray foam to, you know, spray it. Now this is where the build gets fun, because now I get to use this little pump to make the waterfall actually work. Now to be honest, I don't really know how I'm gonna do this, but I need to somehow send water from this pump up the rocks so then it can somehow flow back down into the water area. Okay, so I guess I'll just try and use this tube that the pump came with and try and send it up over the rocks like that. Well, I guess let me go get some water and fill this thing up so I can see if the waterfall actually works. Alright, moment of truth, let me plug this in. And it's plugged in, and wait, is it working? Kind of. Okay, this is more of just like a sewage pipe than a waterfall, but oh god, why is the water turning brown? What is going? Since it wasn't working very well, I decided to get some more water and add that in to see if it would help. Okay, with more water, the water pressure of the waterfall goes up a lot. Bro, what is this? Can you stop going? How is okay, oh shoot. Oh nah. Bro, it is spraying all around my room. Turn it off. Turn them off. So thankfully I found this dial on the pump that let me turn down the water pressure, and then the waterfall was actually working pretty well. Alright, there we go. To finish it off, I glued some rocks on the top to hide the pump, and I also drained out the sewage water because yeah, we don't really want that. The waterfall was now complete, but this is only just the start. I have some crazy things planned for the walking fish, like building a literal parkour course for it to play on. Yeah, I am not kidding. But first, I need to finish the foundations of this enclosure, which means I need to make it look like a beautiful lake. To do that, I got a bunch of different stuff like wood, which I glued onto the rocks. Now I've got to add the substrate. So for the land area, I'm using these black balls, which I'll put behind the rocks and sloping down the waterfall. Finally, I put a layer of dirt on top to make it look more natural. Now for the water area, I'm gonna keep it simple by just adding in some sand, you know. All right, the substrate's finished now, but if I'm not gonna lie, this kind of looks really bad. But the only reason this looks really bad right now is because the final step to making a beautiful lake is to add in plants. And unfortunately for me, I can't really just grab plants from outside. Okay, I don't know why I even grabbed that. Let me just put it back. Instead, I have to drive to PetSmart again and buy the very, very overpriced aquatic plants there.
Holy moly guacamole. $10.99 for this tiny leaf. Why are they so expensive? This one is literally the same size as my finger. $10.99. That is so expensive.
Despite those plants being an absolute scam, I still bought them, and yeah, I have plants now. So I spent a little while using my artistic skills to put the plants around the terrarium, and it ended up looking like this, which, you know, this looks pretty good. All right, now that that's done, it's time to add the water in again, and this time I'm gonna be a little more careful to make sure it doesn't turn into sewage water. Also, I figured I should mention this, but I'm using a water that has a very small amount of salt mixed into it, because that's how mud skippers live in the wild. So if any of the freshwater plants die, it's not my fault. Oh my god, look at this. This is literally like a paradise. There's a working waterfall, there's plants, okay, I mean, that's just normal, I guess, but, you know, it's still pretty good. And look, this is the best part. I even got a light on it that when I press this button, it will turn it to nighttime. And by nighttime, I mean it just changes the light to blue, but, I mean, you still gotta admit that's pretty cool. The base of the enclosure was now finished, but there were still 4 days until the mud skipper walking fish arrived at my door. So to make this enclosure even better before he gets here, I'm gonna add a bunch of tiny fish inside. But before adding in the fish, I quickly poured some healthy bacteria into the water in order to let it cycle and make it safe for the fish. All right, well, it's been a couple days now. I guess let me just go get the fish. You know, I gotta go to PetSmart again. I'll be there soon. So I went and purchased the fish and got 4 of these mollies. Okay, the fish have been acclimating in the water for a little bit now. And to put them in the water, I'm gonna do a super cool transition. So basically when I clap my hands, they'll be in the water. 3, 2, 1. Boom! Look at that. That's a super clean transition. But anyways, the fish are in the, you know, the lake. So I got 4 fish, 3 different species of mollies. And, you know, they look pretty cool. We got like a zebra-looking one, some goldfish-looking ones, and then there's a black one. You know, these are pretty cool. And look at this. This guy's eating the sand right now. You see that? What the heck? I didn't even know they did that. Okay, wait, I'm not even gonna lie, these are actually super cool. And to make it even more diverse, I also got some Narite snails, which will help clean algae and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty helpful. But if I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of getting bored of just these normal fish. So you know what time it is. It is time to add in the walking fish, the reason why we're all watching this video. So, let's just get to the good part. Alright, I just got a notification on my phone. It says it's here. So you already know what time it is. It is mud skipper o'clock. Let me just get this package. Oh yeah, check it out. This is the walking fish inside of this box. So let me open this thing up. Get out of here. I'm just kidding. There's nothing actually in this box. The walking fish has actually been acclimating in the water for a while, so I can already add him into his new home. Right after adding him in, the little fish started to swim all around his new water area. He even started to play around with some of the other fish. But of course, this isn't just a normal fish, it is a walking fish. And this little guy clearly knew how to do that very well. Oh my god, this guy is just walking around on land. This is so cool. Mud skippers are able to defy the law of fish because they have not only the ability to breathe through their gills like all fish, but also through their skin while it's still wet. So in fact, mud skippers will actually spend more time out of the water than in the water. So I don't really know if they can even really be considered a fish at that point, but I mean, it still looks like one. But the best part of this video is coming up now, where I'll be feeding the mud skipper all types of food, including live insects, to see which he likes the most. Then I'll build him a parkour course, and if he can successfully complete it, I'll give him unlimited of whatever his favorite food is. But of course, this little guy's first gonna need a name. So after searching through thousands of options, I came across the perfect name. This walking fish will be called Franklin, because I just feel like he looks like a Franklin. Anyways, let's feed Franklin some food to see which he likes best out of these. First up on the list, we got houseflies. Now I have 200 of them in this little container, but I only want to feed him a couple of these, so I'm gonna have to be careful that hundreds of these don't escape around my room. So I'm just gonna try my best to empty a few into here next to Franklin. And oh dang, he is going crazy. About 3 flies had dropped in, and Franklin had instantly sucked up 2 of them. But one of the flies had managed to escape onto a little leaf. But of course, I wasn't gonna let him get away, so I scooped him up and brought him over to Franklin. I will be honest though, his hunting skills did need some work, as it took him a couple tries just to eat this tiny little fly, but eventually he got it down. Clearly Franklin loves houseflies, but I wonder if he'll go for some bigger insects. So next up, I got some mealworms and got straight to dropping them in front of Franklin. This time he was under the water, but that didn't stop him, as he tried to eat the worms right away. Although there is a reason why I said he tried to eat the worms, because he failed so many times at trying to eat it. And eventually another fish just tried to take it from him, so he just swam away. But a little later, while Franklin was chilling on the land area, I dropped another worm right in front of him, and this time he leaped onto it and absolutely devoured it. Wait, is he going under the water with it? Wait, I think he just swallowed it whole. Dang. Well, it's clear that Franklin likes mealworms. It is a little bit hard for him to hunt them, but there's still the final insect to feed him, which are crickets. And these are almost as big as Franklin's, so I don't really know if he's even gonna try and eat them, but I dropped them in anyways. The cricket started to slowly move around in the water, and Franklin definitely noticed. Franklin got into position and waited for the perfect moment to strike. And as soon as the cricket moved again, okay. Well, it turns out the cricket scared Franklin away and he just hid under the water. Bruh. Well, now I know Franklin loves flies, sorta likes worms, and is just straight up scared of crickets. Well, now it's time for the best part of the video, where I'll be building Franklin a parkour course to test how good he is at jumping. Now, you might be wondering how I'm actually gonna create this, and well, to be honest, I don't know. Like, actually, I do not have a plan at all. But I guess I'll just start with something I already have, which is this plastic stuff. And I'll quickly just create some little pillars that the fish will have to jump to. Now we just gotta put these into place in the floor, and boom. Here's the game plan. There's 3 of these pillars that the walking fish will have to go from jump to jump. And if he gets to the final pillar, I'll give him unlimited houseflies to eat, since that's his favorite food. Alright, well the course is built, so I guess I'll just wait and see if he'll complete it.
2 hours later.
So Franklin never even tried to complete it on his own. I don't really know what I was expecting. So instead, I got some tweezers and mealworms to try and bring him towards the course. But it seemed like Franklin was scared of the tweezers, so I just had to keep repeatedly dropping the food in the direction I wanted him to go in. And once he tried to eat it, I picked it up and repeated the process. It eventually worked to get Franklin over to the start of the parkour course, but this is the hard part, because now he actually has to jump from platform to platform. So I tried the same strategy of dropping mealworms, but it was taking forever. So I had to make it a little easier for him by putting some mud leading up to it. So now it's not really a parkour course, it's more just like a walk-core course. But after doing that and switching over the flies, Franklin started to make a little more progress. But this is where it got hard for Franklin, because while he could make it up to the first platform multiple times, he just wasn't going to the second platform at all. And he definitely wasn't going to go to the third platform, so I just removed that and decided if he made it to the second, then he would win the unlimited flies prize. So I continued trying to bring him there for literally 2 hours, but Franklin just kept abandoning mission on the first platform over and over.
Mission failed.
We'll get them next time.
So to be honest, I just gave up and scooped Franklin up onto it because I still wanted to give him unlimited flies. Yay, Franklin, you totally just did that by yourself. Now you get unlimited flies. Here you go, boy. Eat up. Eat up. Oh my god, there's so many flies. No, they're getting away. They're flying around my room. And of course, Franklin really enjoyed those flies.
Well, Franklin is gonna be an amazing pet, but we've still barely scratched the surface. This next video has 7 different pets. It was really cool.
These are the most exotic insects in the world, and I have 7 of them that I'll be building homes for and showcasing their coolest abilities. To start off, the first insect I have is this giant Asian mantis. Despite looking absolutely majestic, this is secretly a monster that devours its prey while it's still alive. But to be able to see that, I need to recreate her natural environment in this little enclosure. So I built it up with all sorts of stuff like bark and moss, and soon enough, it was complete and ready for the mantis. Now, mantises actually have these little sharp spikes all over their legs, which allows them to grip onto very smooth surfaces like this glass. And because this mantis is so beautiful, I'm gonna name her something beautiful to match. So everyone, please say hello to Birchroot. But Birchroot wasn't the only thing alive in this enclosure, as just earlier I had put a couple crickets inside. Immediately after, Birchroot sensed them and rushed in towards the prey with killer instincts. Seconds later, the cricket was now getting crushed by Birchroot's claws and ripped apart by her alien mouth. But whilst the mantis was enjoying her meal, another cricket walked by. So she snatched that up and started to eat 2 crickets at once. Clearly, she was pretty hungry. Now, Birchroot has got to be one of the coolest insects I've ever seen. Like, seriously, she looks like King Kong right now. But there are still 6 more insane insect species I'm going to be showing off in this video, including a cow killer that is known to have one of the most painful stings in the entire world, and I'm going to be holding it. Yeah. But before getting to the cow killer, let's say hello to insect number 2, a metallic stag beetle. Now this is straight up an exotic insect. I mean, it literally looks like it's from the future. This species has some of the largest mandibles out of any beetle species. And honestly, those big sharp mandibles make me too scared to pick it up. So instead, I just picked it up with this plastic lid. For its enclosure, I'm using this 14 by 8 inch tank. And watch this, when I clap my hands in front of the terrarium, it's gonna be instantly built. 3, 2, 1... boom! Now that's a super clean transition. As you can see, there's tons of stuff in here like bark and sphagnum moss that will be perfect for the beetle to hide under. And speaking of the beetle, I of course need to give this guy a name. And since, you know, it's the best and coolest beetle ever, I'm gonna name him Paul McCartney. Because, you know, I just feel like that name fits him pretty well. You know, he looks like a Paul. Anyways, despite Paul having these absolutely massive mandibles, he doesn't even use them to eat prey because he's a boring herbivore. So to feed him, I just got an orange and put it inside. I also put some of this beetle jelly because I think they like eating this too. But Paul is a male beetle and he looks pretty lonely if I'm being honest. So I also got this female of the same species that is honestly a lot uglier than Paul because she doesn't even have those cool mandibles, but I put her in anyways and soon she started to wander around. Eventually, she even climbed onto Paul's back while he was sleeping, which seemed to annoy him and he got up and walked away. Not a great start to these beetles' relationship, but I'm sure Paul and this new female will eventually enjoy their home together and might even have little beetle babies. And remember, later I'm gonna be picking up a cow killer wasp, which is said to have a sting strong enough to kill a literal cow. Ooh. I hope it doesn't sting me. Anyways, as you know, we still have more exotic insects to showcase. And for this next insect, let's play a little game. When I move my camera down, you have 3 seconds to find the insect in the frame. Let's go. And did you find it? Well, probably not, because this insect actually has a very special disguise. Scattered around here is a species of insect called Phyllium philippinicums, commonly known as leaf insects. Anyways, I don't have much to say about these guys. I just think it's pretty funny how over millions of years they've evolved to look like a leaf. Bruh. I mean, they could have evolved to have huge teeth and claws and stingers, but no. They evolved to look like a leaf. Now for their home, I got this glass terrarium that's a bit bigger since we have 4 of these bad boys, which will all eventually grow to be about 5 times as big, so I needed a lot of space. I wanted to make this look like a plains biome, so I got some artificial grass, and I also put a bunch of tree branches all around the tank, so the leaf these insects could pretend to be leaves, just like they were born to do. Welcome to your new home, boys. I hope you like it. Or girls. I don't know if they're boys or girls. Most of the little leaves were just walking around and enjoying themselves, but a couple of the leaf insects started praising to the gods or something by raising their hands in the air and doing some sort of ritual. Anyways, these guys' diet consists mostly of themselves. And by that, I mean they eat leaves. So yeah, they're basically cannibals. But their absolute favorite food is blackberries. So of course, I put some of those around the tank. Well, this is pretty good. I think these leaves are gonna live a fantastical life in here. Moving on to the fourth insect, we got a fierce apex predator. Not only does this insect have fangs, but he also injects a potent venom into anything it bites. Everyone say hello to one of my jumping spiders. Now, yes, technically by definition, this isn't an insect, but by my definition of an insect, it is. So, don't comment about it. Now, I'm not gonna pick up this guy with my hands because they're super fast and he'd probably just jump off my hand and go hide under the couch or something, and I don't want that. So, I'm just gonna speed run his new home real quick with tons of places for him to jump around, and boom. Let's get this little guy into here. These spiders are actually one of the coolest species because most of them have the ability to eat prey up to 3 times their own size. So of course I had to challenge my jumping spider by dropping in a few pretty decently sized crickets. Immediately the jumping spider hit on this piece of wood, seemingly waiting for the perfect moment to strike a cricket. But the funny thing was that he never actually did any attacking. If anything, the jumping spider was actually afraid of the crickets because every time he saw one, he got startled and slowly walked backwards. It was actually pretty funny. So to feed him, I got a couple smaller crickets and put those inside hoping he would eat those, but it kind of still seemed like he was scared of those as well. Well, I guess this guy's just not hungry right now, so in the future, if he still doesn't eat any crickets, I'll try feeding him some smaller worms and stuff. But for now, let's move on. I've been saving the best insects for last, and coming up soon, I'll be holding the cow killer wasp, which of course is the deadliest insect out of all of them. But first, for insect number 5, let's play another game. I'm gonna build this enclosure just like this. And as you can see, I built a nice little dirt enclosure with wood and moss. So now, can you guess what I'm gonna put in here based off of the enclosure? Your options are A, a shark, B, a dog, or C, an earthworm. The answer is... If you guessed shark, you were actually wrong. The actual answer is none of these. It's D, a millipede. And yeah, technically, once again, this isn't an insect, but don't worry about it. This species in specific is a pink-toed millipede, which to be honest, I don't know why it's called that because its toes are not pink. I mean, it doesn't even have toes. If anything, it should be called a orange leg millipede, but whatever. Despite it being kind of disgusting looking, I built up enough courage to pick it up onto my arm and move it into its enclosure. Oh, nah, this feels so weird crawling on me. What the heck? I swear this is actually like stinging me right now. What the heck? This feels so weird. Yeah, get off of me. You see, millipedes have hundreds of legs, which helps them grip onto stuff and allows them to even walk upside down. Okay, maybe it's not that cool. Now, unfortunately for this video, millipedes are the most boring eaters ever, and basically just only eat decaying matter. So I'm just gonna put some blackberries in here and, yeah, call it a day. Enjoy your home, little guy. Now for insect number 6, which actually happens to be one of our most unique ones. You see, all of the other insects I've showed live on land. Well, this one actually lives under the water. These are banded diving beetles. And despite looking, kinda lame, they are actually carnivorous killers that will eat prey way bigger than themselves. For its tank, I got this 10-gallon aquarium, and basically, I'm just gonna fill it up with substrate, aquatic plants, and finally some water. Now, the best things about these guys is that they don't even need a water filter, since, they are much less affected by variability in nitrogen or phosphorus concentration because they do not breathe. So, yeah, let's put them in. The little beetles were shy to come out at first, but eventually the tank was swarming with all 7 of them. The way they swim is honestly just really cool because they got these little legs and stuff that they propel themselves with, which I guess is just kind of normal and not that cool, but now I want to show you guys how these beetles eat prey. So to do that, I got some mealworms and dropped them in the water. After a few minutes, amazingly, a beetle stumbled across a worm. So he grabbed it with his legs and pulled it all the way up to the surface of the water. When he got there, he started to absolutely devour the mealworm by sucking the life out of it. A couple more of the aquatic beetles found some more mealworms, so soon enough, the entire tank was feeding on these guys. The next day, I came back to find these little lifeless mealworm exoskeletons laying around the floor. Clearly, the beetles had enjoyed their meals. Now, this is the moment we have all been waiting for, the 7th insect, a cow killer. Well, this is just a box, but inside of it, the cow killer awaits. Now, the actual name of this is a velvet ant, but the legend has it that its sting is strong enough to kill a literal cow. Hence why people call it the cow killer, and I'm about to have it crawl on my bare skin. But before that, I need to have its enclosure finished, so I have a place to, put it so it's not just stuck crawling on my arm. These guys live in the deserts and the wild, so I'm gonna quickly recreate that here by doing another super cool transition. Watch this. As I squeeze my hands in, the desert magically appears. Wow, okay, now that's actually super cool transition. That deserves a subscribe. Seriously, subscribe. Scroll down right now and click subscribe. Please, I am begging you. As you can see, I got a heat lamp to make this place nice and hot, and also lots of little places for the cow killer to hide under. Speaking of the cow killer, I should probably stop stalling and just get to opening it up. So I opened up the box, and apparently I accidentally bought a dead taxidermied cow killer and not a real alive one. So of course I went to buy an actual live one online, and unfortunately I found out that you can only get one when they're in season through July to October.
Now this is where the original video ended, but I have news for you guys. I am working on the dedicated cow killer video right now, and it will be up before the end of the year, so stay tuned for that. Well, those are all the exotic insects, but have you ever wanted to see the full journey of a tadpole turning into a frog? Well, whether you did or didn't, you're gonna love this next video where I do just that. Watching a tadpole turn into a frog is one of the most interesting processes in all of nature. And in this video, I'm gonna spend the next 50 days of my life raising 20 tadpoles into an army of frogs. It wasn't an easy process caring for them, and not every tadpole made it. But here is the full 3-month journey of raising tiny tadpoles into fully grown frogs. It all started on day 1, where I was waiting for the tadpoles to be delivered to my house. So in the meantime, I got out a glass tank and a bunch of supplies. You see, at first, the tadpoles are gonna need to be fully aquatic. In order to raise them, I have to make an enclosure that is all water. So I laid down some soil and covered it in a bit of sand. And finally, I put all sorts of decorations around, like pebbles, wood, and plants. And after filling it up with some cycled water, the enclosure was complete.
Dang, check this out. That actually looks pretty good. And I've got some fun plans for when I add the tadpoles in here. But anyway, speaking of those, they're gonna be delivered here tomorrow. So I guess just cut to that. Okay, I just woke up and got an email saying there's a package here, and okay, there actually is. Not even sure if this is the right package, but it does say there's an animal in here, so probably is.
And after unboxing it, I got my first look at the tadpoles, and to my surprise, they didn't look very normal. They were actually orange and very large. You see, when I bought them, I actually got a 20-pack of mystery tadpoles, meaning that once they grow up into frogs, it could literally be any species in the world, and some have really cool abilities.
Oh man, I really hope we got one of those rare species.
But for now, one by one, I put each of the tadpoles into their new enclosure, and immediately they started to explore all around and even interact with each other. But I guess this was their first time being kept in a glass enclosure, because this guy didn't really know how it worked. He just kept swimming into the glass, and yeah, I think he got brain damage. Well, that's all there was to do on day 2, so I came back on day 3. But something unexpected happened on this day.
Shoot, bro, I'm starting to get worried. Look at the tadpoles. Almost none of them are even moving. They're all just like sitting at the bottom. This could actually be a pretty big problem. I gotta figure out why this is happening.
So quickly, I did research, hoping to find the fix. And thankfully, I came across this guy that said something about how the problem might get fixed from adding in an air pump. So I immediately got one of those out and hooked it up in the water and turned it on. As you can see, it makes a bunch of bubbles, which apparently spreads oxygen around the water. But even after adding this in, the problem was still here. The tadpoles were still barely moving.
Okay, I've got to make sure these guys are all right. So as you can see, I got out this little bottle of tadpole food. It has some like protein and stuff, so I'm really hoping this is gonna get them to be more active. This is my last idea. This better work.
So I dropped in a couple of the pellets, and literally like magic, the tadpoles immediately started to move. They must have picked up the scent or something. I even put a ton of them in the middle, and they basically all just turned into food-eating machines. I mean, look at all of them. The problem of them not moving had been fixed. And even better news, I noticed that they had these tiny little legs starting to grow. This is a great sign, and it means as they grow bigger, arms will start to develop under the skin, and soon we'll have a full frog that can eat insects. Anyways, that's all there was to day 3, and unfortunately on day 4, I came back to yet another problem.
Bruh, what the heck happened? Why does the water look like sewage water?
This obviously wasn't a good sign, so to fix the issue, I got out this filter to, filter the bad stuff out of the water. Thankfully, after setting it up, it cleared the water super fast and the tadpoles were all fine. So I continued to feed them their tadpole pellets, but that was until day 8. On this day, pretty much every tadpole looked super healthy and they were growing at a good rate. But to my surprise, over across the tank on top of a rock, I saw that one of the 20 tadpoles had died.
Dang, bro, I'm not even sure how this guy died, and I'm really hoping the other tadpoles are gonna be fine too.
Now in the wild, 4 of every 5 tadpoles actually don't live long enough to become frogs. So while it sucks that this guy died, it's kinda to be expected. Anyways, on the next day, I wanted to prevent any further tadpoles from dying, and considering some of the tadpole legs were getting pretty big now, they should be ready for a whole new type of food to make them evolve even faster. So let's go cook it up for them on the Terra Green cooking show.
Today on the menu, we got a very special item. We're making tadpole burgers. The only difference is instead of normal ingredients, we're using some romaine lettuce as the bun, bloodworms as the patty, and some tadpole pellets to add, a little bit of flavor. All right, but anyway, step 1 is we're gonna get our lettuce. Then I'm just gonna put it under the sink and turn it on, and we're just gonna wash it. Hopefully you can hear me. This is kind of loud and annoying. I'm just washing it.
Then we take the lettuce, tear it up into tiny little pieces, and throw it in a pot of boiling water to, cook it. And then the final step, we just gotta assemble the burger. So I put down the bottom bun, the burger patty, some of the tadpole pellets, and then the top bun, and boom, check these burgers out. After freezing them for a few hours, I got them out and got ready to feed these burgers to the tadpoles. Oh yeah, I already know they're gonna love them. To start, I dropped in 2 of the burgers, and after about 20 seconds, they slowly started to thaw out, and the bloodworms started to get unleashed from them. Soon enough, the lettuce also separated and all the food spread all around the tank. As you can see, it didn't take long until the tadpoles started to notice. They would literally just be swimming around the water while having an end of a bloodworm sticking out of their mouth. It looks pretty tasty. I'm just kidding, it doesn't look pretty tasty, it actually looks pretty nasty. I wouldn't want to eat a bloodworm. But while they were eating, I actually noticed that one of the tadpoles has now officially entered stage 2. As you can see, his back was starting to turn yellow and develop a little bit of a pattern. And that's not to mention that his legs were actually getting pretty giant by this point.
Bro, this is so good. Most frogs are not this yellow color, so we could actually be getting a really rare species of frog. Oh, this is gonna be so cool.
Anyways, a few days later on day 11, the colors of this guy became even more vibrant, and there was some super good news.
But look, do you see that right there? I'm pretty sure that is his hand about to poke out of his body. I'm pretty sure this guy's arms are about to grow in literally today. That means we need to build a completely new tank, because this is a fully aquatic tank, and we need something with a bunch of land area and everything, so this frog will be able to go onto land and start eating bugs and stuff.
So without wasting time, I got out a new 20-gallon tank and a few different types of supplies to make a new home. Obviously, with this second enclosure, we're still gonna have a water area so the tadpoles can swim around and do their thing, but along with that, we're also gonna have the land area so that when the tadpoles have their arms pop out, they can start hunting for insects on land, which will be very cool to watch. For the build, I started by putting a wall of rocks along the middle and connecting it with some water-safe spray foam. On the left side of the rocks, I basically recreated the first tank with some soil, sand, and a whole bunch of decorations, and then I filled it up with water. Then for the right side, I put some dirt, sticks, moss, and stuff like that, and it didn't take long for the second enclosure to be finished.
All right, check it out. It looks, all right. I mean, it's gonna serve its purpose. Anyways, I want to add that one frog in here once his arms pop out, so let's just wait until that happens.
Anyways, it took a few days until that frog had his arms actually pop out, and by day 15, even his tail was starting to absorb into his body. Dang, this guy's basically a frog at this point, and that means he can survive out of the water. So I picked him up onto my hand, and I moved him into his new home. Immediately after putting him in, he actually just stayed in in the water portion of it. Never expected.
Oh my gosh, you guys see what this guy's doing right now? He's basically burying himself under the dirt. Obviously, this guy's that cool yellow and orange pattern on his back, and that made me think this is a Pac-Man frog. And now that he's doing this, I 100% know it's a Pac-Man frog.
Basically, Pac-Man frogs do this because they wait for an insect to walk above them while they're in the dirt, and when that does happen, it jumps out and eats it. It's very cool, and I'm about to show this guy doing it. But first, on day 16, I scooped the biggest tadpoles out the old tank and put them into the new one so that they would be able to walk once their arms popped out. And I wanted to wait till there's a couple more frogs, so I came back 2 weeks later on day 28, and now there was a total of 3 froglets. The original one, another yellow one, and for some reason, even an orange one. Pac-Man frogs can be all sorts of colors, so maybe we'll even get some other types. But anyways, later that day, I noticed the 2 yellow frogs were chilling in the dirt with each other.
Alright, I really want to see these guys jump out of the dirt for some food, so that's why I've got these crickets right here. Hey, let's just drop some in, hopefully something happens.
So I let the crickets loose, but while they constantly walked near and sometimes even on top of the frogs didn't really react to them at all. So instead, I tried to get out some smaller crickets, and oh boy, this is where it got fun. Right after putting them in, this lone cricket went up to the pair of frogs, and the one on the right tried to eat it, but he missed. So the cricket tried to run away, but then the left frog tried to eat it, and he missed even more miserably. Yeah, they're pretty bad hunters. But this cricket was just so stupid that he looped back around to the right frog, and this time he was out of luck, because just like that, he was now getting swallowed by the Pac-Man frog. Now, I thought that was gonna be all that I got to see, but 2 minutes later, one of the original big crickets walked by them. I thought there was no way one of them would try to eat it, but as it slowly got closer and closer, and finally tripped on the dirt, the Pac-Man frog just opened his mouth, and the cricket fell straight into it. This dude just ate a cricket the size of his own body, and it seemed like the frog on the left was pretty jealous. Yeah, he just kept like licking the frog on the right. I don't really know why he did that. At this point, the main goal is to get all the tadpoles transformed and get an army of Pac-Man frogs. So I continued to care for them and feed them and all of that stuff. But that was until day 40, when there was a huge problem. By now, there was a total of 6 froglets roaming around the enclosure, but one of the froglets was sitting under a rock with a tail and legs sticking out of his mouth. Even though I was feeding them more than enough food, it had eaten one of the tadpoles. Now, Pac-Man frogs will basically eat anything, including other frogs, but I figured that since they were so small, there'd be no way they'd eat each other, but unfortunately, I was wrong. Since I now knew there was even a chance they'd eat each other, I had to separate all the frogs into their own enclosures. So I went out and got a lot of individual enclosures and some supplies to build everything up. For each tank, it's pretty simple. You basically just fill them up with about 3 inches of coconut fiber dirt, add some water to make sure it's nice and moist, put in some moss and sticks so they could hide under, and put in a shallow water dish. I repeated that process in a few more of the enclosures, and now you can see I have a lot of them. Now the final step is that I got out some heat mats and put them running along one side of the enclosures to create a heat gradient inside so the frogs will be able to choose how warm they want to be.
Alright, check it out. Some of the enclosures are ready for the froglets to be put inside. Now, I probably will have to build bigger enclosures as the frogs grow up because they get to be pretty big, but these should last for, at least a few months, so this is good.
So on day 41, I scooped each of the 6 froglets into their new enclosures. And as you can see, that one frog that ate the tadpole was absolutely massive at this point. He probably wouldn't be hungry for a few days. Like, dang, he's pretty fat. Soon after putting them in, some of the froglets went to go chill in the little tray of water to get some quick moisture. You see, at this point, most of the froglets have lost their gills and can only breathe air, so it's important that the water in their enclosure is very shallow like this so they don't drown. To finish off the day, all the frogs buried themselves in the dirt, and I dropped a few crickets inside so they could eat. By day 62, I had to build even more enclosures because at this point, every single one of the remaining tadpoles had transformed into frogs, and I moved them all into their new homes. There was a total of 15 Pac-Man frogs. And you're probably wondering, what do I do with all these frogs now? Well, I guess the only thing I can do is continue to feed them crickets and make sure they grow up, because as I said, they get extremely big. Yeah, I'm about to have an army of frogs in my house, but I've been saving the craziest pets for last, and this next one is easily one of the most disgusting ones yet. Yeah, just take a look. Today, I was scrolling through YouTube and found a video called Feeding Giant Pet Leech, where this guy literally showed off his pet leech and fed it his own blood for 3 hours. Now, you probably probably think this is weird, but I am known for keeping the weirdest pets, so of course I found this website that will sell me a pet leech.
Dang, $20 for a pet leech. That's a bargain. I'm gonna buy 2 of these things. Let's just get this checked out.
So in this video, I'm gonna build a home for them, show off everything about keeping a pet leech, and literally let them suck on my arm. Yes, I am not kidding. I'm gonna let them do that, and I might get some unknown deadly virus. This is easily gonna be my weirdest pet. Anyways, until the leeches got delivered, I got out a 20-gallon aquarium and a ton of rocks to get its enclosure built. Step 1 to make its home is to make a rock arch. To do that, I got out some water-safe spray foam and sprayed the entire left side of the enclosure, and then I covered it with some lava rocks. You see, leeches spend most of their time in the water, but they actually have the ability to crawl on land like a worm. And basically, by connecting all these rocks with foam, I was able to build an arch here that I could cover with dirt to make the land portion of this enclosure. On the land, I put some very simple decorations like a piece of wood, some carpet moss, and a small plant to complete it.
Alright, the land area is looking pretty nice and small and cozy, and it's gonna be so cool to see the leeches swim onto the land so they can eat food and stuff. Oh, and also, if you're wondering where I got this beautiful plant, is of course from Walmart. Gotta keep the channel's tradition going, you know.
Anyway, step 2 of this enclosure is to create the water portion. Now, I started by getting out some of this black aqua soil stuff and putting a layer of it down because it'll allow us to grow some beautiful, luscious plants in here. But first, I covered the soil with a layer of sand and started to scatter giant river rocks along the bottom. I figured it'd be cool to make this place look like the bottom of a river, since that's where leeches live in the wild. To finish the river look in here, I put some smaller river rocks around, and then I put some extra small tiny river rocks around, and then I put some extra tiny small river rocks around, which aren't really rocks anymore, they're just kind of like gravel, but yeah. Anyways, now it's time for the aquatic plants. So I drove over to the local pet store to buy some.
Okay, here's the aquatic plants, and I always hate buying these because look at this, they're so expensive. Anyways, let me just pick out a few that look cool. And yeah, this cart right here costs like $70 for 5 plants.
Anyways, when I got home, I used my artistic skills to find the most optimal locations to plant each plant, and by that I mean I just put them around randomly, but after putting them all in, it actually looked pretty cool.
Alright, dang, this is actually gonna look pretty good once I add water in here. And also, it turned out really good how that rock arch makes like a little cave there. That's gonna be really cool. I guess the leeches are gonna be able to swim there or something.
Anyways, leeches are freshwater creatures, so I just filled the enclosure up with some normal water, you know, pretty simple stuff, and in no time it was done.
Alright, I'm liking the look of this a lot, but if you look at the dirt, it's absorbed the water and it's super moist and it kind of looks like mud right now. Now, because the humidity's so high right here, mold can actually grow, which is of course not good for the leeches. But don't worry, because I have the perfect solution right here.
Inside of this container, I had some little insect creatures delivered to me for step number 3, the mold cleanup crew. These are springtails, which you may have seen before, but I have a cool idea for them this time. They're basically just super tiny white insects that I guess eat mold when it grows in here. And yeah, there's tons of these things in here, so I just dumped the whole container on the land.
Alright, I think it'd be really cool to get a time lapse of these little guys eating, and since there's no mold in here right now, apparently their second favorite food is yeast, which is like a fungus or something. I don't really know. You use it to bake bread. But basically, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit right here, and we'll see what they do. I don't even know if this is gonna work.
So I waited for the springtails to absolutely devour the yeast up, and they were all kind of gathering up around it, looking like they were probably eating it. And as you can see, this part of the yeast kind of changed. I don't know if that's just because it soaked up the water from the dirt or what. I guess I only record the springtails for like 30 minutes, so it's not a very eventful time lapse, but this is what it looked like at the end. Now for step number 4 of completing this enclosure, we gotta put some technology in here like always to make it super good. Now first of all, I got out this machine, which you may have seen in some of my previous videos. Basically, when I turn this little dial, out of the end of the tube, a bunch of fog comes out. So I set that up on the side of the glass and let it run for a minute.
Dang, check this out. It completely transforms it from being kind of boring to like super spooky. And honestly, it's a little bit too much fog. Let me get some of this out of here. Okay, that's better. But you know, it's cool. Adds to the atmosphere. Leeches are pretty spooky, and you know, I'm gonna be letting it stuck on my arm. It's not gonna be fun.
Anyways, for the second technology, well, this one's a little useless, but it's cool.
Okay, so I was walking around Target earlier and saw these little robot turtle toys on sale for about like $8. And I think it'll just be funny to put these in the water with the leech, you know, once we add them in. But let's just test them out real quick to see what they look like. Okay, I got it. And I think you just like press these buttons and okay, its arms are moving. I guess let me just put it in the water. Let's see what this thing can do. And, oh, it's moving. And it's just swimming into the glass. Okay, I guess it's kind of cool. Okay, it's not that cool to be honest. Well, let me put it on land. Let's see if it can walk on land. And, Yeah, okay, can't walk on land.
Well, this enclosure is now 100% complete and ready for probably the weirdest pet I have ever got to be put inside, the leeches. So I guess just cut to when I get that package.
Okay, I got the leeches delivered just now, but before showing you guys these, I want to first give some big updates on the channel's merch. It's now available to buy from anywhere in the entire world because everyone from the United States loved it so much.
And not only that, but for Black Friday, we're doing a massive bundle sale. Basically, if you buy all 3 poster types, you get a big discount on the bundle. And also, if you buy a shirt plus a hat, then you also get a big discount. These bundle sales will only last until Cyber Monday, so make sure you get them quickly.
Also, some of the sizes of the hoodies have started to sell out, so make sure you buy it quick before more sell out if they look cool. But anyways, let's just go back to the leeches. This is gonna be cool. All right, supposedly in this box are the leeches. I just got them shipped. I still can't believe we're gonna be keeping these as pets, and I'm literally gonna be letting it suck on my arm. This is not gonna be fun at all, but it's gonna be pretty entertaining. But hey, let's just go get these guys in their enclosure. We don't want them in their shipping box anymore. Let's go.
So I brought the box inside and opened it up.
Oh nah, bro, the leeches are inside this little foam box. I do not even want to open this up.
Inside the box was a little plastic container with water and the leeches, which I moved into this bigger container of water. And well, here they are, my new pet. Aren't they so cute?
Oh, are you seeing this? This is so disgusting. This guy's just climbing up the side of the enclosure. They're already trying to escape.
But despite how nasty they were, I had to transport them to their new home, so I tried to scoop them out.
Okay, I got one of them up against the wall in this little container, and I'm just gonna try and scoop it up. Oh, there we go. Oh, shoot, it's not going good. Oh, no, is this thing trying to escape right now? No, this is not the time. Can you please go back in the container? Oh my gosh, it's just on my table.
But eventually I got it back in, and I was able to put both the leeches into their new home. And right after dropping them in, it didn't take long for the leeches to start swimming around and be super active. Basically, how leeches work is they mostly get around by swimming around just like this, like how a sea snake would. But on one end of their body, they actually have a little suction cup so that they can grab onto walls and rocks so they can stay still. And of course, on the other end of their body is the mouth that they use to, of course, grab onto animals with.
Okay, as you guys know, these leeches get most of their food by sucking the blood out of other animals. But before I feed them my own blood, I kind of want to fill them up just at least a little bit by feeding them some other type of food. And apparently Google says one of the best things to feed them is raw liver from the grocery store. And I don't really have any of that, so I guess let me just go get it.
So I drove over to Walmart and found some of that raw beef liver that supposedly the leeches will eat.
Dang, check this stuff out. It's only $2.44 per packet of it. That is why we shop at Walmart, everybody. And it does look pretty nasty, but I'm pretty sure the leeches are gonna eat this. I don't know, let's just go home and figure out.
So when I got home, I opened the packet up and got a little raw piece of liver out.
All right, well, we got the beef liver right here. It's kind of nasty, I'm not gonna lie, slimy and everything. And hey, the leeches are out and about right now, so I think I'm just gonna drop it in right there. Hopefully it doesn't make the water dirty or anything.
I let the meat sit there for about 15 minutes, but the leeches didn't end up finding it. So instead, I just picked it up and brought it right over to one of them. Immediately, that first one picked up the scent or something and latched onto it. So while that leech rode the piece of meat, I brought it over to the second one, and that guy immediately latched onto it too. And yeah, I just let them go crazy on it, eating it up for a little bit.
Oh my gosh, these leeches are absolutely devouring this piece of meat. I gotta make sure they don't get filled up on this meat, because I still gotta eat meat. Can you guys come off, please? Oh my gosh, if they're this hard stuck on the meat, what are they gonna do when they're on my arm? I don't know, bro. This is not gonna be fun, though. Alright, it's the next day and the leeches are still doing good. And anyways, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Well, I haven't been waiting for it, but I'm gonna let the leeches go on my arm now. So let me wait for my mom to get home so she can record that, and also I wanna see how she reacts to this new pet leech. Okay, Mom, you could come in now. Alright, hi.
Hi.
I'm just bringing you in here because I want to show you my new pet. Alright, so basically just look at its cage and I want you to guess what's in there.
Oh my god.
Do you see anything in there?
Yeah, it's in the jar.
Yeah, right
It's
there.
disgusting,
In the
dude.
jar. I had to put it in a jar just because.
Is it a centipede?
A centipede is
I
underwater.
don't know.
That's a leech.
No, dude.
A pet
Dude,
leech.
no.
Isn't a pet leech cool?
No. Is it the sucking of the blood leech?
Basic, yeah, sucks your blood. But you know, we gotta feed it.
Oh, right. I see where you're gonna go with this not happening.
Yeah, don't worry, we're definitely not gonna be feeding it anyone's blood. But I wanna show you this thing you see on top. You can put fog inside.
That's neat.
But I don't only have
That's
fog,
cool.
we also got some turtles.
Some little turtles.
Yeah, they just kind of move around. They're kind of cool.
Why is it in a jar like that though?
Oh, you're wondering why it's in a jar? So basically, it's in a jar because I need to do something with it, and I need you to record me do something with it.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick the leech up, and I'm just gonna take all the water out, and then I'm just gonna put this upside down right here. And basically, I need you to take my phone and record me sucking the blood out of my arm.
No, you're not gonna do that.
Yes, I have to do it.
No, we're not, dude. Why do you have to do that?
Because I said I would do it at the start of the video.
Oh, right.
I'm just gonna take the jar and put it here.
Oh my gosh,
so it
no.
comes in.
Why are we doing this?
Don't worry.
No, dude.
So this might take like a couple minutes. I don't know.
For it to even get out of there?
Yeah, you see how the suction cup is on the jar?
Yeah. Here, maybe I can like it.
Okay, it could happen right now. It could happen right now.
No! No!
Okay, it's biting me.
Joe, why are we doing this again?
Go back a little bit.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Okay, it's biting me right now. It's sucking my blood. I feel the blood coming out of my arm.
Oh my god,
Okay.
no. Ew.
It feels so weird.
Does it?
So basically, it's injecting like a chemical in my blood right now to make it run faster so it can suck more blood out. Oh!
Oh my god, are you serious? Is this, can it really harm you? Does
No,
this do
hopefully
anything
not.
to you?
So I don't know how to get this off actually.
No, I'm flicking it off.
No, so you can't flick it off. Okay, so the teeth are like going harder into my body. So some people feed these for like 3 hours at a time, but yeah, I'm not doing all that.
Oh my gosh, they actually let them feed your blood for 3 hours.
Yeah, you just kind of want to like trick its teeth into like scaring it, you know, so it will unbite it. All right, and just like that. Get off, get off, get off, get off.
Oh
Go.
my god, get up.
Ah, it bit me again. There we go, just like that. It's all fine and dandy. So that's my new pet.
What? No, dude, let's just throw it in the toilet.
Okay, we're not gonna do that. Don't worry, because we got princess band-aids right here to heal the wound.
gosh.
And we got some cream or something I guess you gotta put on it.
Neosporin, yeah.
Okay, so first we just gotta get the cream, put some on there like that. Maybe that's a little too much. And then we have our princess band-aid, so we just take that out. Oh, I don't know who that is, but it's a very pretty princess. And boom, just like that, we just fed our pet leech.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there, you wanna try?
Nope,
Your turn.
absolutely not. No, or just throw it in the toilet.
I'm definitely never doing that again. That's all I'll say. But what's an even weirder pet than a leech, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you, an alien. And yes, I got a pet alien. Just roll the video. I just found probably the most alien-looking creature on Earth. It is literally a mutant creature with the mouth of a spider, the body of a scorpion, and claws that look like saws. And that's not even mentioning that it has some of the weirdest and creepiest behavior out of any animal ever. But despite how weird it is, apparently there's a website that will sell you one as a pet. So yeah, you guys read the title. I'm gonna build a home for one of these things and actually keep it as a pet. $20, let's just get it, oh boy. And once I get it, I'll be judging if this alien creature is actually a good pet, and I'll even show it to my mom to get her reaction. Yeah, she's gonna love it. Anyways, after placing the order, they said they would ship it out in a few days. So in the meantime, to build the enclosure, I got out the tank and a couple big boxes of rocks. Yeah, I got a lot of rocks for this. This is because I needed them to start stacking around the outer part of the enclosure to try to make it look like a cave. You see, in the wild, tailless whip scorpions like to hide in between rocks because, I guess that's just where they feel safe. I don't really know. And to connect the rocks together, I originally tried to use my handy dandy hot glue gun and, you know, glue them, but the rocks were just too heavy and it kept collapsing over and over. Oh my gosh, these stupid rocks keep falling. Yeah, it wasn't really working, so instead I resorted to using some animal safe spray foam like always, and I covered it in a bunch of the big rocks and then a bunch of tiny little rocks, and I repeated that process on the left and right side of the enclosure. And check it out. Hopefully you see the vision I'm going for. You know, there's a cave. We're making a cave. There's rocks on the walls. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. Now, this is a good start. However, you'd be dumb to think this is all I'm doing. I'm making this the best enclosure ever, so I can show off all the cool things the alien creature can do. It's gonna be so cool to watch. Anyways, the next step is to do the floor and decorations. And for the floor, we want it to be high quality and cheap, which is why I've got a bunch of these coconut fiber bricks, which are about to expand into a ton of dirt. Seriously, these are so cool. You just add a big tub of water like this. Ooh, I'm getting that everywhere. And over time, it's gonna start to absorb that water and they're gonna expand and become a bunch of dirt, you know? And boom, look at that. It went from those boring bricks to this nice, moist
dirt.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but you know, it's dirt. It's pretty necessary.
To top off the floor, I mixed in some wood chips, dead leaves, some moss, and a couple rocks. Now, apparently the alien creature I'm getting has the ability to dig burrows out in this dirt with its claws, but I have no idea if mine's gonna do that, so hopefully it does. That would be pretty dang cool to watch. Now, to decorate the enclosure, I got these super thin sticks and started to glue them along the top. As you can see, they kind of look like tree roots, which adds this cool effect to the build that makes it look like there's trees growing above this cave. Nice. And of course, this wouldn't be a Terra Green enclosure without some plants in here, which as you can see, I've got a few of. And if you're wondering where I got them, yeah, I got them from Walmart, as always. I love Walmart so much. Please sponsor me. Please, please, please. As you can see, all the plants are pretty small since we don't want it to look too planty in this cave. So I planted them around and gave it a nice spray down with my water spraying thing. Now, these plants are actually super important because water droplets will gather on top of the leaves, which will easily allow the alien creature to sip them up and get hydrated, which, you know, is good. You know, we gotta make sure he can drink water and stuff. But while I was at Walmart getting the plants, I also found this absolutely majestical stone statue of an alien.
Hi, how are you?
Because, you know, we're putting a tailless whip scorpion inside of here, which is basically an alien. So yeah, I put that in to finish off the decorations.
Bruh, this guy's got a big forehead. That's a real shame. Thankfully, my forehead isn't that big.
Okay, the first 3 steps are all complete, but now it's time to get some technology in this enclosure to make it stand out. The first of which is this big machine right here, which can do something very cool. To get it to work, I had to fill up this container with a bunch of water, and after it was filled up, I put it back on top and finally twisted this knob right here.
And now check this out. Out of the end of this tube, a bunch of smoke, as you can see. Or fog, not smoke. It'd probably be my most creepiest pet. But anyways, let's get this in the enclosure I built for it. And let's go, baby.
So I got out a knife and opened the package up.
And oh, here it is. Because you can't really see anything. There's paper towels everywhere. Okay, hold on. Let me open this up.
I then very carefully removed the lid and paper towels to expose the alien creature.
My gosh, this thing is gonna jump out at me. I have no idea. I'm just gonna close the glass though. Yeah, get that closed. Thank you very much.
Now at first it was completely still and actually I couldn't even tell if it was alive, but eventually I noticed signs of movement and then soon enough it fully started to climb out of its container. Very creepily, it slowly made its way over to a rock to go into hiding. But it wasn't just any rock. Of course, it was the rock with the alien statue on top.
Bruh. Well. I told you guys this was an alien. Only an alien would go under the rock with an alien on top of it. But anyways, as I said at the start of the video, I'm gonna be pranking my mom with this thing. But before I do something like that, let's just see what it's capable of by trying to feed it something. I don't know. Let's just put some food in here though.
And after doing some research, it turns out that tailless whip scorpions absolutely love crickets. And thankfully, I always have a bag of crickets since all my favorite pets eat them. And immediately after putting them in, they actually all looked very happy. These stupid crickets really thought that this was their new home and they were just going around eating moss. Well, little did they know that this home actually belongs to my tailless whip scorpion, and unfortunately for one of the crickets, it made a wrong turn. It walked straight into the crevice of the rock that the alien creature was sitting inside. I thought for sure that that cricket was a goner, but miraculously, about a minute later, it walked out the rock unscathed. A little later, I saw the alien creature in a different spot hanging onto a wall. And just like before, a cricket walked straight up to it. And in fact, this cricket was extra stupid. He started to walk right in front of the alien's literal mouth. Bruh. But for some reason, the tailless whip scorpion was not eating it at all.
Okay, it's the next day and I figured out why the alien creature in here isn't eating. It's because this species is partly nocturnal, and as you can see, I just have massive studio lights shining super brightly on here. I guess he just doesn't want to eat in the light. So anyways, I want to let this guy just kind of adjust to the new home for about a week, and I guess I'll just come back then and we can do the rest of the stuff.
In the meantime, here's this cool video by Aquarimax Pets of the same species eating, if you're wondering what that looks like. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyways, let's get back to the content.
Okay, this is the absolute best part of the video because I'm gonna show my mom this alien creature and then I'm gonna prank her. And if you're wondering how I'm gonna prank her, just take a look at this thing. It's basically a one-on-one model of the tailless whip scorpion. And yeah, I'm basically just gonna throw it at her. She is not gonna be happy. But anyway, she's not home right now, so I guess I'll just cut to when she is and we'll show her this. Okay, you can come in. All right, so I just got a new pet, and I just want to show you it. Now come stand over here, and you can try and tell what it is. I just want you to guess what kind of pet I got.
Oh my gosh, it looks super cool. Where's it at?
Can you see anything in there?
I'm trying, my heart is.
Okay, well, it's hidden behind this rock, but
Shut up, dude.
do you know what it is?
No.
If you look very
Wait a
closely back
second.
under that rock, there's something right
Oh
there.
my god, dude, I'm scared.
For some reason, she couldn't really see it, so I gently woke it up with a spatula, and here's her reaction.
Oh my god, dude! What the heck is this?
You see that?
Seriously?
see
No,
that?
no, yeah, that's alien and mindfulness. Oh
It's an alien in
my
there.
goodness.
Anyways, I have this fog machine, so we can put some fog on it, and that's pretty cool.
That's super cool, but seriously, where did that come from?
I don't know, the space or something?
Space.
Okay, anyways, that's all I gotta show you. Do you think it's cool?
No, dude, it looks so freaking weird. Yeah, it looks like evil.
Well, it's a good thing you'll never have to see it again. Okay, bye.
Now that she had seen it and left, I got the one-on-one model out and put it on my hand. This is gonna be really funny.
Okay, could you come back in here? I just forgot to show you one thing.
Oh my god, dude. Dude,
You wanna say
Devin,
hello
no,
to it?
no, go away.
Yeah.
You're such a dork, that's not even real.
Yeah, it's just a piece of paper.
Oh my god.
What do you rate it out
Oh
of
my
10?
gosh. Whew, I don't know, I'm still confused.
Okay,
Devin.
bye.
Okay, so she rated it an I don't know, I'm still confused out of 10, which translates to probably a 10 out of 10. So yeah, I guess she likes it, and I'm gonna have to get more animals like this. Well, that tailless whip scorpion alien has an amazing home. But speaking of amazing homes, this next pet actually didn't have an amazing home. So in this video, I completely transformed it and gave them a new life. Take a look.
The other day, I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace and came across this post titled "Old Fish Tank Has a Live Fish and Frogs."
And just look at this monstrosity. Yeah, this is not even a fish tank. The water is straight up black, and somehow it says there's fish and frogs alive in that. How is that even possible? I need to save those guys.
So in this video, I'm gonna buy that tank, completely revamp it into the best fish tank ever, and save the fish and frogs that are somehow still alive inside of it. So first, I had to, of course, drive out to the cellar and fork up the $20 needed to buy it.
See, normally a fish tank for $20 would be a good deal, but this thing has a whole list of problems. But anyways, it's mine now, so we're just gonna go take it home and, you know, run some diagnostics. That we're just gonna see if these fish are gonna be able to survive. Let's go.
As soon as I got home, I got out some water testing strips. And after swishing them around, I figured out that there was a bunch of problems with the current water. I needed to get the fish and frogs out of there as soon as possible. So I quickly got a temporary tank, built it up, and added some healthy quick start bacteria to make it safe for the fish. And of course, I can't scoop the fish out of this straight up sewage water. Yeah, I can't even see through it. So I quickly set up a filter, and after a few hours, I was able to see through the water.
All right, it's 100% clear now, and if there's fish in here, I'm gonna scoop it out with this net. Oh, did you just see that right there? It's a good thing these are still alive. Let me get you out.
Thankfully, the frogs were still okay, so I scooped them out. And eventually, I even found the fish all still in good health. I identified the frog species as African dwarf frogs, which are able to survive fully underwater. And the fish was the species of black coolie loach, which is this weird snake-looking thing. But of course now, it's time to focus on transforming this. I honestly can't get over how bad this is, like genuinely, who built this? And to start the process, this thing needed to be cleaned. So I drained out the sewage water and got rid of it. And of course, I took everything else out because, yeah, we don't really want any of this nasty stuff. If I'm being honest, this is already 100 times better than that garbage we started with. But we're about to make this 1,000 times better. So let's give those creatures a new home. Anyway, step one was to buy a lot of money's worth of new supplies.
Oh my god, $400. This is gonna be an insane build.
And get them delivered to my house. But for step two, we gotta actually get to building, and there we go. And to start the build, I'm gonna recreate that plastic arch thing that was originally in the tank, and I'm gonna base the entire theme of the new tank around that. Just obviously, I'm gonna be using real rocks, not plastic trash pet store rocks that are dirty. Yeah, this is so bad. Get this out of here. Anyways, the build was pretty simple. You just place rocks in and then glue them together, and then repeat that like a billion times. And after literally 4 hours, the cave arch structure was done. And I know, it might look like trash right now with all that exposed foam and stuff, but trust me, it's gonna look good soon. And speaking of looking good, let's get to the next part where we add in the floor and decorations. First, I'll do the floor, which I'm mostly gonna be making out of this aqua soil stuff. But I also kept some of the original soil from the trash tank because while it was dirty, it was actually some pretty good soil. But of course, it needed to be cleaned so I wasn't getting deadly bacteria and viruses in my new tank. So to kill all that stuff, I decided to boil it in some boiling water. Yeah. Alright, it's been boiling for a little bit and it's probably killed all the bacteria and stuff. But I was thinking this kind of looks like soup, so I'm just gonna go and see if my mom will try and drink it or something. I don't know, let's see.
I made some soup. Do you want to try it?
What kind of soup is it? It's dirt.
No, it's mushroom.
Okay. Is it really mushroom?
Yeah. No, like actually it is. You can
No,
just...
it's not. No, it's not. It's raw.
No.
Yeah, it is.
It's mushroom.
Okay, I guess it doesn't really look like soup. She didn't fall for it. Anyways, I added it in and then poured a layer of gravel on top. The floor was now finished, and next up was the decorations, which basically meant I was just gonna add some plants and stuff. Yeah. For the plants, I got a delivery that cost $100 from some aquarium website, and I got straight to planting them. First, I covered the whole top of the cave in this moss stuff to make it look like grass was growing on top. Then for the rest of the plants, I just, put them around the aquarium, as you do. Finally, I scattered some rocks and wood around. I just, forgot to record that part, so, just imagine this is footage of me doing that. Okay, the whole base of the tank is now complete, but this is honestly kinda average. Rocks, plants, every aquarium has that. And I'm transforming this into the best aquarium to give justice to the poor frogs and fish, meaning I still have a lot of work to do. Next up on the list is to add custom technology in here that'll make the tank actually cool. And the first technology I got is this little water pump. And to show you what it does, let me fill the tank up with water, plug it in, and yeah, boy, it makes bubbles. Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but it is important to have this so oxygen can spread around the tank.
Nice.
Anyways, this next technology is actually cool. This is an automatic fish feeder. Basically, I just gotta set it up on the side, fill it up with all types of tasty food, and now I just press this button on the side and it'll drop food. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Or I can set it to be automatic every 12 or 24 hours. But there's no fish in here, so let me just take this food out so it doesn't get moldy and stuff. Okay, now for the third technology. This one is actually the coolest thing in the world. So basically, I was just wandering around Walmart yesterday and saw this little robo fish that apparently can swim around in the water by itself. That is too cool to pass up on. So of course, I bought half of their stock. And on the packaging, it says it even changes colors in the water. That's sick. But I don't really know how this works, so I guess I'll just press this button and, oh, the fins are moving. Okay, let me put this in the water. Wait, bro, look at this thing. This is actually pretty cool. Wait, I gotta get these other ones in here. Let's see. Okay, all the fish are in here, and this just looks like an aquarium now. I'm not even gonna lie. Bro, the actual fish are gonna be so confused when they see these ones in here. That is gonna be so funny. Anyways, for now, I'm gonna take them out, and later I'll be adding them back in with the live fish to see how the live fish react. Now, the final technology, and this, to be honest, isn't anything special. It's just a water filter and a water heater, which is just some basic necessities to make sure our fish and frogs are able to thrive. And speaking of those guys, it's almost time to see how they're gonna react to the new transformed tank. But before then, I'm gonna first add in some friends for them. And I've got a lot of stuff. The first species I added in was a bunch of ghost shrimp, which, are shrimp. They clean up the tank and stuff. Thanks, guys. But actually, this is a pretty cool species because as you can see, they're kind of see-through. And because of that, you can literally see stuff inside of their body. Like this guy just ate some moss. And because of that, you can see some green inside of his body. Wow. The next species I added in was 2 new African dwarf frogs and 5 more coolie loaches. And yes, these are the same species of fish and frogs that were in the original tank. And that's because those species that we already have are all social animals, and it wasn't ideal to only have the 2 frogs and 1 fish that we started with. The final species I added in was some neon tetras, just because, well, they look cool and they swim around schools and they look cool. Yeah. Well, all the friends are added now, so of course it's time to add the original frogs and fish inside. Be free. Okay, well, that's kind of anticlimactic. Well, they're in here now, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna live an amazing life, so that's good. But now that it's transformed, this is the best part of the video, where I'll be doing stuff like seeing how the fish react to the robot fish, and also I'll even be hatching live prey from eggs to feed the frogs and fish some live food. And speaking of that live prey, let's get to hatching that now, because it's gonna take a little while to get those hatched. These are brine shrimp eggs, which to start the hatching process, we're basically gonna get a pot, throw a bunch of ingredients in there like a soup, and put in in a heater, a light, and a pump. And yeah, basically these shrimp are gonna hatch in about a day, probably. I don't know if I set this up right, but I guess we'll see. In the meantime, I had to, of course, test out the robot fish in the aquarium, so, be free. Right after adding them, the first fish to encounter them was the little school of neon tetras. At first, they seemed pretty chill about it, just ignoring it and going about their normal life. That was until one of the robot fish started to rush at them at max speed, and, they all got extremely scared. One of the frogs was also chilling on top of the cave when another robot fish came swimming in towards them. Yeah, he was not gonna have any of that. But the thing is, most of the fish were inside of the cave, so I wasn't able to see their reaction. So, of course, I put all the robot fish inside of it. And, yeah, they kind of all got stuck, and I couldn't record any of the fish reactions because it was too dark. And since I couldn't even reach the robot fish to get them out, they're just gonna be a permanent addition to the cave. Nice. Anyways, I let a day pass so that I could come back to the brine shrimp eggs being hatched. And while it looked like 99% of the eggs hadn't hatched, if we zoom in a bunch on my bad quality iPhone camera, you can see thousands of little dots swimming around. Those are the brine shrimp. Listen, I didn't say they were gonna be big, okay? So I got my water sucker, sucked them up, and was ready to feed the fish. I first put a little bit of the shrimp right next to a lone neon tetra, and within seconds he started going crazy. It even attracted the attention of some of the other tetras, and soon multiple were sucking up all the tasty shrimp. Next up, I put some of the brine shrimp near a frog, and at first he seemed to not care, but then he started to, of course, devour them too. I guess these brine shrimps taste good. Dang. Finally, I put some of the brine shrimp near a coolie loach, and I was expecting this guy to start eating them too, but he kind of just, yeah, he just swam away into the darkness of a cave. Bruh. Well, even though I found this aquarium as a piece of garbage, I'm happy I was able to completely transform it and give a new home to the poor fish and frogs that were alive in it originally.
There's one final pet left in this movie, and I saved the rarest for last. You just gotta watch this. Trust me, it was insane.
There are billions of lizards alive across the world, but out of all of them, one species stands out as unique.
What the hell, what?
Chameleons. You see, chameleons have the ability to be bred to have extremely rare color patterns, like a literal rainbow. But I just came across the rarest color variation that I have never seen before.
This beautiful red and blue chameleon that literally looks like a Nintendo Switch. Just to represent how rare this is, let's say there's a billion lizards on Earth and about 1,000 of those are a chameleon with this exact color morph. That would mean there is a 0.0000001% chance of this existing. And sure, it may cost $899, but this is gonna easily be one of my coolest pets ever.
And once I get it, I'll show off some special abilities of chameleons that many of you have probably never seen before. But it's gonna take a few days until it gets shipped out to my house. So in the meantime, I probably should build up an enclosure for the chameleon with everything it could possibly need to live an amazing life. And of course, to build that, I'm gonna need the giant 120-gallon terrarium and hundreds of dollars worth of supplies. But to start the build, the only thing we actually need is some dead leaves and bark. You see, to make the floor for a chameleon, you don't want to use normal materials like dirt. This is because chameleons have these special tongues that when they're shot out, they'll pick up stuff like dirt on the floor and eat it, which will make the chameleon sick. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. So even though this floor is super simple, it's actually perfect. But of course, the rare Nintendo Switch chameleon I'm getting is gonna need a lot more than this in his enclosure. Yeah, this is just definitely not enough. So for step number 2, I got a whole bunch of wooden branches. Now, as you can see, I installed these 2 metal bars going across the enclosure, which I'll start by covering in the branches I have. I made sure to make the branches reach all along the top of the enclosure, the bottom, the sides, and literally everywhere. And after they were secured in place with zip ties and foam, I covered up most of that ugly stuff with some moss and leaves. So it doesn't look like a 5-year-old made this anymore. I also got a bunch of these vine things, which are basically these long bendable rubber sticks that recreate the look of jungle vines, and they curve all around the enclosure.
Okay, if I'm being honest, this does look a little bit cluttered and messy right now. But trust me, coming up in this video, I got some stuff planned that's gonna make this, you know, actually look good and be an actually good enclosure.
And plus, all these branches and vines are actually very necessary to allow the chameleon to climb and swing around the entire enclosure. And don't worry, guys, because I'll be getting plants to cover up these big ugly foam things in the corner. Speaking of plants, I should probably put some in here since that's the next step to finishing this amazing home. But I don't have any right now, now, so I'm gonna go to the plant store. Now, of course, I drove to Walmart, as always, to buy my plants. And the plant section was actually amazing this time. I mean, they had a way better selection than they usually do. Just look at all of them.
Oh my gosh, are you guys seeing this? $15 for this giant plant. Okay, that is actually a super good deal. You're only gonna see deals like that at Walmart. That is why I come here, guys.
So I picked out all the plants the rare chameleon could possibly want and brought them home.
Alright, so obviously I've got plants now, but you'd be stupid if you think I'm just gonna put these straight into the enclosure. Oh, no. I'm going to make these plants way, way better.
And what I mean by that is I'm gonna make them look extra cool with some animal-safe red and blue paint. Yeah, I'm gonna paint these plant pots to be the same color as the chameleon I'm getting. I don't know why, I just think it'll look cool, okay? Yeah, I did this on every plant pot, it took forever. But after letting the paint dry for a few hours, I started to scatter the plants along the floor and sides of the enclosure. And in no time, I was done.
And check this out. This looks, I mean, it looks alright. I mean, the plants and everything look fine, but maybe the blue and red pots were not the best idea. The paint kind of started to fade. It's not even blue anymore, but it's still pretty funny, and I bet the chameleon's gonna like to see some of the stuff of his same color. So, anyways, I gotta get to the next step. Let's just go to the next step right now. Let's go to the next step.
Okay, anyways, on the to-do list, there's 2 more steps to make this a chameleon dream home, starting with some basic technology. And what this means is I've got a bunch of technology like this light bulb, which is necessary, but to be honest, it's nothing special. This light bulb in specific generates heat, and as you can see, right in the basking spot under the heat lamp, it reaches up to 90 degrees, which is perfect. And of course, in a cooler part of the enclosure, it reaches about 70 degrees, so the chameleon won't get too hot or nothing. You know, we don't want the chameleon to get heat stroke. But another basic technology you need is a long UVB light bulb, which recreates the same UV rays the sun does. And basically, this lets the chameleon get vitamin D or something. It's pretty complex biology stuff, but it's very important. And finally, I set up a simple water misting system, which, you know, you just press a button and it starts spraying water all around the enclosure. Yeah, pretty simple, but it's very necessary. Okay, well, now that the boring technology is over, let's get some fun, custom, advanced technology in this enclosure. At the start, I got this big, cool blue thing. You see, earlier at Walmart, I saw these toys that were apparently made by the YouTuber Mr. Beast. And, you know, I love Mr. Beast, so I bought this egg-looking one, which I had an idea for how I could use in the chameleon enclosure. So I pressed a button to open it up, and inside was, this thing.
What the heck is this? Okay, I guess inside there's a Mr. Beast toy that makes that annoying noise. Well, I don't really know what I was expecting, but I guess let me just put this inside the chameleon enclosure, and there we go. If you're wondering why I put this in here, well, I was just thinking I want to give the chameleon a nice friend, and, you know, this is kind of animal looking thing, so, okay, I'm sorry, this is stupid. Let's just go to the next technology.
And now next on the to-do list, this one is even cooler than the last.
Alright, so for the second thing I'm adding in here, basically, I just wanted to make it look more like a home. And as you know, most homes have paintings around their house because that's just what homes have. So I'm gonna add my own custom painting inside of here.
And to get the custom image made, I asked AI to make a picture of a red and blue chameleon wearing a suit.
And, oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Wait, okay, we're gonna put this painting inside the chameleon's home. Oh, this is gonna be pretty cool.
So I drove to the printing store and printed the image out, hoping no one around me would see me getting these stupid looking paintings.
Bruh. And there we go. Check it out. This looks pretty, I mean the painting looks kind of cool, but I don't really know why I added this either. It's a little useless, but anyways, this entire enclosure is actually pretty much finished. I don't know anything else I can add to it, so I guess it's just time to add the rare red and blue chameleon inside. Let's just cut to then. So as you can see, I got the lizard right here, and I don't know what I'm doing outside. I should probably just go put him in the enclosure.
So I opened up the package and immediately was amazed by its beauty.
Oh my gosh, this thing looks super cool. Okay, wait, this is easily gonna be my coolest looking pet.
The only thing to do was open the lid and let it crawl out when it was ready. And of course, it went straight to doing its stupid chameleon dance.
Well, what the hell, what?
Now, as you can see, the colors on it right now are sort of darker than what they should be. And that's because currently it's a bit stressed from just getting out of the shipping container. Coming up, I'll be explaining exactly how chameleons change color and why by showing you guys this rare lizard. But for now, I want to show the amazing ability that chameleons have to hunt prey from literally across the enclosure.
Now, you guys may not know this, but chameleons actually love crickets, like literally almost my other pets and crickets are pretty healthy for chameleons, so yeah, that's what I'm gonna be feeding him today.
So I waited a few hours before putting any crickets in to allow the chameleon to adjust to his new home. And as you can see, soon enough, his color started to brighten up, and that means he's ready to hunt.
Come on, crickets, get out, get out. There we go. Yeah, get out.
I put a few of the crickets inside, and at first they sort of just started to mind their own business, just walking around looking for food, you know. But little did they know that they are about to become food for this guy.
Hi, how are you?
Now, the first ability chameleons have for hunting is their eyes. As you can see, both of his eyes are able to move in different directions, constantly scanning everywhere around him in front and behind at the same time. And it wasn't long until the chameleon set one of his eyes on one of the little crickets. He started to move into attack position very slowly. Yeah, chameleons are so slow, they're basically sloths. And while this cricket thought he was safe, little did he know what was about to happen. Chameleon's second ability, their insane tongue that's over a foot long. Yeah, whenever this chameleon was within a couple feet of a cricket, it locked onto the target and shot its tongue directly towards it. And because the tongue is so sticky, it just brought the cricket in with it so it could enjoy a nice, tasty meal. And after seeing how cool it was when the chameleon hunted, I got a funny idea.
Okay, you see this cricket here? I'm gonna get this onto my hand like that. And then I'm literally gonna try and feed the chameleon from my hand. You can see it's right there. It just jumped off. Okay, take two. We're gonna put this right next to the chameleon's mouth. And there we go, that's the perfect spot. Eat it, bro. Eat it. I wanna see this thing eat from my hand so bad. It's literally right in front of you. Hello? You're just gonna watch it? It's crawling all around my hand. You have the perfect opportunity, and you're not doing it. And okay, I think the chameleon's just walking away at this point. I guess he doesn't really want to eat from my hand. I'm sorry, cricket, but I'm just gonna... You're gonna get eaten.
Anyways, I should probably name this rare chameleon, and like I said earlier, this thing has the exact same colors as a Nintendo Switch. So I'm gonna name my chameleon... Switch. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty creative name, I know. Anyways, now I'm gonna show you guys exactly how chameleons change color, and it might actually be pretty surprising to some of you. But quickly, I just want to tell you guys that since the last video, you've increased the amount of people subscribed from 5% to 6%, which is okay improvement, but let's get this to like 50%. So please, if you're enjoying this video at all, just scroll down and click subscribe. Now, anyways, you might have seen me show you guys this video of a chameleon changing colors. And while this viral video is actually very cool to watch, it is completely
for the build. You already know we're gonna be starting with some aqua soil, which is super important for making sure our plants grow nice and strong. But if you've seen my channel before, you know this soil can make the water extremely dark and dirty. So this time I've come prepared with a bunch of sand. We're gonna give this a nice clean coat on top of the soil, and in order to make it look not so flat, I made this little sand hill in the left corner. But now that we've got about an inch of soil and about 1/4 an inch of sand, we can start getting cool decorations in here. And first up, let's just focus on the wood.
And yeah, I'm Terra Green, so we got some pretty good options for wood. In fact, in this closet, I think we got a lot of wood in here. Shoot, I forgot how much there was in here. This would have been useful for some past videos.
Anyways, I gathered them all up and brought it over to the mega tank. Since the wood will kind of be the base of everything, I really took a bit of time to find the exact pattern and types of wood that I liked most. And after a little while, I ended up deciding on this. I kind of liked how all the wood was in this one area, and hopefully by the end, it's all gonna look like tree trunks growing out of the water. But for now, I actually have to take the pieces of wood out and throw them in a bathtub.
Now, technically, I don't think we have to do this, but basically the thinking is if we let this soak up a bunch of water inside the wood, when we go and add the water inside of our fish tank, the wood won't just like float to the top, because that's a problem sometimes I have. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave this here for a few hours.
After a couple hours, I went and put them back in the tank, added the price to the total, and now it's time to add in some rocks. We're gonna keep it simple, just a couple pretty big gray rocks scattered around that I bought from an aquarium store earlier, and I figured it'd be cool to kind of blend the gray pattern into the sand more, so I used a bunch of these tiny gray pebbles to do that to all the rocks around. And with that, I would say the base decorations of the enclosure are complete. Now we gotta do the DIY decorations.
And this is where it gets fun, because right in this area right there, I want to build a custom fish statue, because I don't really really know why. I just think it'll be cool or something.
Now, if you're wondering how I'm gonna do this, well, first of all, I set up a table next to the tank that I could work on, but then I got out this brick and some chisels. Yep, I'm gonna carve this brick into a fish sculpture. This probably isn't gonna go so well. But quickly before doing that, as you know, I could the hammer, but it wasn't really effective. So I took the chisels out of their package and instead used the hammer to smack the back of it. And basically, I just did that over and over and over and over, very carefully, trying not to break it. I did make one mistake by accidentally breaking off a big piece of the base, but I quickly fixed it up until it was done.
Well, here it is. My first ever statue I sculpted out. And besides a few things I kind of messed up on it, I would say this belongs in the museums besides the greatest works of sculpts of art of ever. But yeah, anyways, let me just put this in right there and boom.
But I still kind of felt like something was missing, so I bought a very important addition, googly eyes.
There we go, that's what it was missing. If you think I should try building a statue again in a future video, let me know in the comment. And also, let me know what to build. Don't make it too hard though. I don't really want to build anything too hard.
Now for the next DIY decoration, let's make a custom aquarium background. You see, many people add these backdrops which make the back of their aquariums blue, or they can have stone textures. But since it was so big, I actually routed my hose through my window. That way I could just turn on the faucet and it would fill up. And it only took about 15 minutes for it to fully fill up.
Now, I don't actually want to just only fill this up with water, because if I had put a fish in here right now, it would die.
You see, this is because fish poop, obviously. But in aquariums, the poop actually dissolves into the water, which over time, the fish will have to breathe, and obviously, poop water isn't good for the fish. So we need to do something called cycling, which will add bacteria that eats the poop before the fish breathes it. So I added in a couple products that did just that. Then I even sprinkled in a little bit of fish food, which will basically feed the bacteria I just added and make it stronger so it can break down the poop even better. But anyways, I had to wait a whole 12 days until the cycling was done.
So yeah, now you probably know why I don't show that every video, but in the meantime, I was able to go and pick up, the backdrop. Yeah, looks pretty good.
So I put that behind the tank, and now I would say we're ready for step 4, adding in the aquatic plants. So I quickly drove to the store to go buy some.
Okay, I'm at Petco, and I have a feeling I'm about to spend a lot of money. Because if you look over here at the plants, it's $11 for this tiny plant. And a medium-sized one is even more. And well, I need like 50 of these.
So I picked out all the ones I liked and bought them. I even ended up going to another pet store to buy all of their stock. So by the time I got home, I was absolutely stacked with aquarium plants.
If you're wondering, the total came out to $593. Yeah, that's kind of sad. But anyways, let's just get to planting them. Let's go.
First of all, I drained the cycled water into a tub to make it easier to plant. Then I went in and started to put the smaller plants in the front, the medium plants, in the middle, and the large plants in the back, of course. I even had a couple plants left over, so I started to scatter them along the wood to fill up the tank even more. Finally, I filled it back up with water, and by the end, this is what it looks like. And well, dang, I would say this is pretty good. Nice job, me. You did a good job building this. And now that the tank is complete, it's time to do the last thing. Stock it with fish. And oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Usually I buy my fish online, but this time I wanted to head to the biggest fish store in my state that will 100% have some insane species of fish. This is gonna be like a 4-hour drive, so let's go. Thankfully, you guys don't have to watch the whole 4 hours because of the magical power of editing. But anyways, here's the store.
Okay, well, I made it, but I'm not gonna lie, this place kind of looks small. Was this worth the 4-hour drive?
But when I walked inside, I figured out that this was definitely worth driving 4 hours for. Because look at this. They had like 7 of these aisles that were just absolutely stacked with the different fish species. There were so many options, and so many of the fish just looked so cool, and I wish I could buy them all, but I ended up choosing and buying just 4 different species, which I'm gonna keep a secret until I put them in the tank.
Alright, the goods have been gotten, and if you're wondering, the total came out to $500. But anyways, let's just go home.
So I quickly drove the 4 hours back.
Alright, now it's time to add in the fish. Now I've got 4 different species that all have some sort of unique special ability, but for now, we got the first fish species right here.
These are balloon mollies, and I've got 14 of them, which should fill up the tank pretty nicely. And after a little bit, they all swam out the net to start exploring around the tank. Instantly, they all kind of just grouped up, and they seemed like they were having an amazing time looking around their new home. Now, I did say that every fish I was gonna add has a special ability, and these guys, they have an ability, it's just not that special. You see, mollies mollies like these guys will constantly just swim around the tank, sucking up sand or taking nips at the plants. And the reason they do this is because they're actually able to filter out microscopic little food particles from the sand and the leaves. And yeah, they basically just spend all day swimming around looking for something to eat.
Anyways, fish number 2 is in here.
These are hill stream loaches, and yeah, there's 5 of them in here, which you might not even be able to tell. And yeah, they definitely aren't your average fish species, but they're insanely cool, so I put them all inside the tank. Instantly, they swam down to the bottom because these loaches are bottom dwellers, which means they spend basically all their time just chilling on the floor. But what makes these cool is not only that they look like stingrays with those flaps coming out of the body, but those flaps actually have an important purpose. You see, hill stream loaches are able to suction their body to surfaces like the side of the glass by pressing their fins down. And this basically lets them just swim along the glass and eat up any sort of algae or biofilm that grows there. Technically, these guys can get almost all their food on their own by doing this.
Man, I love these guys. They literally look like little aliens that'll suck at your face.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, but
The third fish is even cooler.
These are clouded archerfish, the biggest fish I'm going to be adding. And I've shown archerfish in videos before, but these clouded ones are a bit different and they're going to go well in the tank. But the thing is, right after adding them in, the mollies actually kind of started to surround them to inspect their new tank mates. I did carefully watch this to make sure no fights broke out because these archerfish can be slightly aggressive at times. But after a couple minutes, the mollies stopped surrounding the archerfish and they started to swim around. Now you see, archerfish basically spend all their time at the top of the water, and they do this for a very special reason. That's because archerfish's special ability is they're able to spit a little stream out of the water into the air, specifically to knock types of bugs into the water so they can eat them. It's absolutely crazy, and I just had to try it with these guys, so I got out a cricket onto my hand and just kind of held it above the water. I held it there for a few minutes, and the closest one got was this archerfish, who was just sitting right under my hand. But I guess he couldn't see the cricket moving or anything because he didn't even try to spit water at it.
Well, shoot, none of the archerfish are trying to eat this thing right now. But I do actually have a video about a year ago I posted about the 7 weirdest fish, where I actually showed the archerfish shooting. And as you can see, it's super cool and super satisfying once it actually does. And yeah, they just basically gulp the cricket out the water once they land it in. It's very cool. But anyways, now it's time for the 4th and final fish species, which is right here. And in fact, it's actually not a fish at all.
These are brine shrimp, and in fact, they're actually not meant to be kept as pets at all because they actually live in salt water. But many aquarium owners will use these guys as a food source for their fish because they're very nutritious. And so I just had to try and feed some of my new fishies. So I poured the brine shrimp into a water gun, and yes, I did have to put them inside a water gun. I couldn't find any syringes or anything to suck them up with. But anyways, I started to just shoot the water gun into the water. And every time I shot it, you can see a few of these little white specks came out of the stream. These are the brine shrimp. And after I started to shoot the gun a little closer to some of the fish, at first you can tell they were kind of scared and probably thought I was trying to attack them or something. In fact, it took a couple minutes before I noticed the first fish starting to eat the shrimp. But oh boy, was this fish absolutely loving it. He was just going around gulping up shrimp after shrimp. I guess they're just super tasty to the fish because over time, pretty much every fish ended up getting their fair share of this food. Well, all the fish have been put into this tank and it's completely built up. So I would call this a